The Southern Liang Dynasty Fong Rins. Accounts of anomalies. Once told a story. A young man named Ji Wang went up the mountain to gather firewood. He saw several children playing chess. Ji Wang approached to take a closer look. After a while, the boy said to him, "Why haven't you left yet?" Ji Wang stood up only then, when he was about to pick up his axe. The wooden handle of the axe had completely rotted. When he returned home, the people of his generation were no longer there. Ji Wang only watched a game of chess. 100 years had passed. Today, the story we are going to tell also originates from a game of Go. His name is Chan Se. Just by looking at this name you can tell it's extraordinary. There's definitely a big chance. Sure enough, during this outing with colleagues, next to several huge ancient trees, I found a strange Go board that resembled the legendary The Rotten Go game. Chan Se looked at the Go game layout in front of him and felt more and more awkward about it. The white stones could have been very connected. Unfortunately, there was one missing connection. After pondering for a moment, Chan Se took out a white stone from the box, placed on Tianjin. The situation immediately changed. The white side, which was originally at a disadvantage, instantly turned the tables. Chan Se nodded in satisfaction. Then he prepared to take out his phone to take a photo of this Go board to show off to his colleagues. However, he was surprised to find that his phone, which still had 80% battery, had unexpectedly turned off. Nevertheless, without thinking too much, he prepared to return to the campsite to charge it. Upon arriving at the campsite, Chan Se was completely dumbfounded. The tent that he had just set up was nowhere to be found. Just as Chan Se was wondering if this was a prank, 2 police officers appeared behind him. After talking to the police, he found out that they were looking for a young man named Chan Se, who had been missing for half a month. Upon hearing the police officer's words, Chan Se was stunned. "Have I been missing for almost half a month myself?" Chan Se didn't have time to ask another question. A wave of dizziness rushed to his head. When he heard the voice again, he was already lying on the ambulance, his body visibly shriveled and withered. Only heard someone say, "The patient is severely dehydrated. Life signs have been lost." Then, Chan Se completely lost consciousness. When he regained consciousness, he found that he couldn't move his body. He couldn't speak, and his eyes couldn't open. But his hearing was amazing. A deafening thunder sounded like it was right next to Chan Se's ear. He could clearly hear the sound of raindrops falling on the ground. He could even hear the small grass outside swaying in the wind and rain. The rain listens to all things, unfolding a scroll within the heart. Such a mysterious feeling. Although invisible, it can still be heard. After some discernment, Chan Se found himself in a ruined temple. He was puzzled as he clearly remembered being sent to the hospital by the police. How could he suddenly appear here? After a moment of analysis, Chan Se discovered that all of this might be related to the mysterious Go game. Could it be that his grandfather's stories were true? What he encountered was the legendary The Rotten Go game. As the saying goes, leaves fall softly by the rotten board. Under ancient trees, no players to be found. Inspired, a lone stone rests at Tianjin. Turning back once more, mountains and seas stretched profound. He just didn't understand why he was here at this moment. Someone shouted, "Hurry up! The mountain god temple is just ahead. Let's take shelter there from the rain." Chan Se was overjoyed, thinking finally someone had come. The group that arrived were itinerant merchants from nearby villages. The leader was a middle-aged man named Sherlin Zhang. Sherlin Zhang was grateful that the mountain god temple was still standing. There is a place to take shelter in this Nyokue mountain. He immediately ordered someone to light a fire for warmth. By the light of the fire, he discovered Chan Se lying on the ground. Upon inspection, he found that Chan Se's forehead was very hot. Fortunately, there was still a pulse. Chan Se cannot speak. He prayed in his heart for you to quickly dial 999 for help. Immediately, he asked his companion to boil some hot water for Chan Se to drink. Then everyone carried Chan Se to the vicinity of the bonfire. The traveling merchants gathered around the bonfire and started chatting. Such heavy rain. It looks like we could only spend the night here tonight. Someone said that entering Nyokue Mountain might be unstable. Sherlin John said, "There is no problem. This beggar should have been here for a long time. He is fine. With so many of us here, what are we afraid of? Even a tiger could be scared away." Although invisible, Chan Se could hear their conversation clearly. What are these people talking about? How come these strange words sound like ancient language? At this moment, Sherlin Zhang brought a bowl of hot water and fed it to Chan Se. After drinking the water, Chan Se felt much more comfortable. Just as he was thinking that Sherlin Zhang is a really good person, he heard him say, "This beggar seems very weak, afraid he won't live much longer." Chan Se brought back his thoughts judging from the conversation of these people. He realized he should have traveled through time. "Brother Sherlin, it seems like the rain has stopped," a traveling merchant said. Sherlin Zhang checked and replied, "It's getting dark. It's unsafe to travel at night. Let's stay here tonight." Just then, a scholar walked in from outside, drenched all over. He claimed that he had entered the mountains for fun, but got separated from his friends. Just as he was getting scared, he saw a flicker of fire here, so he walked over. He even said, "Even if you are bandits, it doesn't matter. I would rather leave my money behind as long as I can go down the mountain with myself." Sherlin Zhang and others warmly invited the young man to come in and warm up by the fire. They also said, "We are not bandits," and promised to take him down the mountain together the next day. Chan Se just found it strange. Why couldn't he hear the footsteps of this scholar himself? Something must be wrong with this person. But Sherlin Zhang and the others didn't overthink it. Just asked Scholar where he lives, which academy he belongs to. Scholar claims to be surnamed Lu, living in Narcissus Town at the foot of the mountain, and is a student of Green Pine Academy. Sherlin Zhang is envious and busy inviting Scholar to eat. Chan Se thought to himself, "This scholar is really good at acting. If it weren't for my amazing hearing ability, I might have even believed him myself." Upon second thought, since he needs to act, it means he's not an exceptionally talented individual. This realization brought Chan Se some peace of mind. The scholar expressed his gratitude and said, "I discovered a fully mature mountain king ginseng on my way here. Most importantly, 3 small red ropes were tied to the ginseng stem by the skilled mountain chaser to prevent the mountain king ginseng from escaping. If the fear hadn't gripped the heart at that time and being afraid of damaging the medicinal herb, he would have dug it up then. To repay your help, I am willing to take you to dig the ginseng." "Where is the mountain king ginseng located?" "Brother Sherlin, let's go digging," everyone said eagerly. Chan Se silently realized that he had fallen into a trap. However, he could not speak and could only feel anxious. The scholar continued, "That place is not far from here. It will only take less than the time for burning 2 sticks of incense to go there and back. If you all really want to go, it's best to follow me before dawn." After listening to the scholar's story, Sherlin Zhang arranged for Xiao Dong and Old Jean to go dig ginseng. Immediately hand the scholar a torch for lighting on the way. The scholar, however, kept retreating in fear, saying, No need. I'm afraid the torch will burn my robe. You guys can hold on to it." Then the 2 people followed the scholar and walked towards the mountains. At this time, Chan Se was extremely anxious but had no way to solve it. Thinking that if something happened to these merchants, he would not be spared either. Chan Se was so anxious that he gritted his teeth and trembled all over. The traveling merchants thought he was having a seizure and afraid he would bite his tongue, so they casually picked up a wooden stick and stuffed it into his mouth. Chan Se could only secretly curse these stupid people in his heart. After a while, a roar came from the mountains, startling everyone. Everyone subconsciously drew out their swords to be on guard. Chan Se was also shocked into a jolt. Startled by the sound, Chan Se realized that he could actually move. At this moment, Xiaodong ran back. Scholar and old Jean said their feet were sprained. He came back to call everyone to go over and help. Chansei found that Xiaodong walks without making any sound. He thought to himself, could it be that he is not human anymore? Just as everyone was getting ready to leave, Chansei shouted loudly, Xiaodong, there's a problem. Xiaodong urged upon seeing this. Don't listen to this beggar's nonsense. Let's go quickly. Seeing that no one believed him, he shouted again. Xiaodong is already dead. Sherlin Zhang and others stopped after hearing this. Subconsciously, they looked toward Xiaodong. In the glare of the torch, Xiaodong's expression was very wrong. Chansei said sternly, associating with a tiger will only lead to trouble. Just like that scholar, he's already a charnel spirit. He's planning to lead you to be devoured by the fierce tiger. Charnel spirit. Sherlin Zhang was so scared that she held the torch in front of Xiaodong. With this torch shining on him, Xiaodong unexpectedly turned into smoke and drifted away. Everyone was pale with fear, and they quickly gathered around Chansei. Chansei saw through the charnel spirit's scheme. Let Sherlin Zhang and others pick up a life. But the fierce tiger in the forest refuses to give up. So I'm here to ask for an explanation. Everyone gathered around the bonfire with their weapons. The atmosphere in the temple instantly became tense. Sherlin Zhang just wanted to ask Chansei how she was doing, but Chansei signaled him not to make a sound. The tiger is approaching. Suddenly, a gust of evil wind swept through the mountains. Then a roar echoed through the mountains. A giant and enormous tiger appeared in front of the temple. Sherlin Zhang and others were frightened by the words, and the items in their hands fell to the ground with a clang. Each of them was so scared that their legs turned weak. Chansei secretly thought that from the momentum and the previous charnel spirit, it was definitely not an ordinary tiger. With this bunch of weaklings and me, who is a waste and half-blind, let alone a tiger monster, even an ordinary tiger would be hard to defeat. The people in the temple were even more afraid to even breathe. Strangely, the fierce tiger did not enter the temple gates. Instead, it spoke in a clear voice. I have no conflict with you, and have not intruded into your mountain temple. Why do you want to help them? Upon hearing Chansei's mention of negotiation, he thought to himself, it's a dead end anyway. Might as well take a chance. Immediately, he spoke to the person outside the door. Because we mind our own business, that's why when the scholar came, I didn't pay any attention. But Sherlin Zhang is pure-hearted. I owe him a favor. I won't let him die like this. The tiger monster expressed doubts. Although I have never met you before. However, I am aware that you have been increasingly lifeless this past month. Why are you so full of life now? After listening to Tiger Monster's words, Chansei understood. The original owner of this body must have been someone extraordinary. I need to use this to intimidate Tiger Monster and save everyone's lives. Chansei made up his mind and spoke up. I knew I didn't have much time left at first. However, facing death here has given me a different insight. To be reborn from death. After hearing these words, the fierce tiger widened its eyes. It thought that this beggar could be reborn from death. Surely his spiritual cultivation must also be extremely profound. He then said, what does the teacher think of my cultivation? I have cultivated on this mountain for over 100 years. Now, progress seems unreachable. Would the teacher be willing to give some guidance? Lord Lushan is deeply grateful. Chansei was relieved now. This fierce tiger even used honorifics. So Chansei asked back, Lord Lushan has been practicing until now. How many people did he eat? Upon hearing the question, Tiger Monster felt nervous. He thought that educated people have many ideas. Why not ask him for some suggestions? So he spit out the scholar, who had turned into a charnel spirit, and promised that as long as this time he could help himself, he would let the scholar's soul return to its homeland. After being pointed in the right direction by the scholar, the Tiger Monster said, I dare not deceive you, sir. Lord Lushan has consumed the flesh of 53 people in his practice until now. My goodness, he has already eaten 53 people. Upon hearing this, everyone was frightened. Chansei thought of a way to dispel the tiger monster's idea of eating people. He decided to use a retreat as an advanced strategy, saying, Lord Lushan, I underestimated your sincerity. Humans are the most intelligent beings among all creatures. Some monsters believe that eating humans is the most nourishing. What do you think, Lord Lushan? The scholar continued to suggest ideas for the fierce tiger. The tiger monster truthfully replied, It is nourishing to me, but sir, this question makes me feel uneasy. Please teach me. Chansei pondered and actually threw the question back. This tiger monster is not lacking in intelligence, which suits my preference. Let me show you the wisdom of modern people. So it began. Humans are the most spiritual beings among all things, but also the most emotionally complex creatures in the world. Resentment and anger are entangled in karma and cause. Eating it for a long time can easily lead to addiction. Entangled in a suffocating atmosphere, there is excessive diligence, but still unable to break through. Day by day, month by month, it becomes more and more maddening. It is indeed a path to self-destruction. Upon hearing this, Tiger Monster pondered in secret, indeed a wise person. In recent years, there has been an inexplicable urge to devour more and more people. Quickly inquire if there is a remedy available. Upon hearing Tiger Monster's words, Chansei knew that he had guessed correctly. Secretly thinking of a high-sounding phrase, to completely suppress it, Chansei said after some thought, The method of remedy is not just about empty words. However, its fundamental principle is not profound. Cultivation is like being a person, with a righteous body, a righteous heart, and a righteous path. This is the foundation. Heaven's way tempers the surplus to nourish the humble, while mortal ways strip the lacking to enrich the favored. You asked me before about my understanding. You asked me later how to remedy. All are part of this principle. Chansei. Lord Lushan, you have quite a deep connection with Chansei. In proverb, speaking too much leads to mistakes. Continuing to speak might reveal too much. Chansei then said, Lord Lushan, you have quite a deep connection with Chansei. Today, we have already said enough. Said, and silently waited for Tiger Monster's reaction. To my surprise, Tiger Monster did not reply. Instead, he walked straight into the temple. Chansei and the others were scared to the core. Oh no, we have gone too far. Our lives are in danger now. We are truly grateful for Lord Lushan's guidance. We will never forget his help. After speaking, the fierce tiger's body unexpectedly rose. Its forelimbs crossed, and its claws made a gesture of cupped hands. It bowed to Chansei 3 times. It really is a tiger monster coming to inquire about the crime. Master Chan the trickster's path is too deep. After the fierce tiger bowed to Chansei, it let out a scholarly voice and said, I will keep my promise. You may go. The scholar is overjoyed. After bidding farewell to Chansei, the soul returned to its homeland. Shortly afterwards, the fierce tiger bid farewell and left, saying that it wouldn't disturb the gentleman's rest. Chansei leaned against the mountain god statue all of a sudden. No more strength. Everyone found out that Tiger Monster had left. Busily thanked Chansei with a bow. Chansei explained that it wasn't that he didn't want to help your companions. Right when Scholar arrived, I was in a critical moment and couldn't move my body. In order to save you, I spared no effort to break through the obstacles with my own Taoist skills. Be more careful in the future. Encountering a handsome scholar and a beautiful woman at night is not a normal occurrence. Everyone dispelled their doubts. Continue to thank Chansei. The next day at the crack of dawn, the traveling merchants were all feeling restless and started to prepare to leave. They asked Chansei what his plans were. Chansei is very tired. He vaguely heard someone calling his name. Leave me alone. Don't bother me while I'm trying to sleep. Everyone saw the man driving people away. and so he quietly left. Wait until the sun is high. A little fox came to the temple. Chansei happened to wake up. Startled, it ran away. A bewildered Chansei found that all the merchants were gone. What a mystery. Fortunately, they left some dry rations for Chansei before leaving, so he won't go hungry. Suddenly, a noisy set of footsteps approached, only to see a few young people approaching. All of them were wearing weapons. They also carried 2 hemp bags on their shoulders. I don't know what's inside. They walked into the mountain god temple to rest and regroup. Fei Yin, the leader, walked around the temple. When he saw Chansei, he asked the beggar, "Are you the only one here?" Chansei replied, "Yes." He thought to himself that this group of people had strong breath. They didn't seem like ordinary people. The girl in the team asked if there are man-eating tigers in this mountain. Do you dare to be here alone? You have to win their sympathy. So he said he overslept. Everyone's gone. My eyes are not working well. Don't dare to go down the mountain alone. A strong man said it's your lucky day. When we deal with the tiger, we'll take you down the mountain with us. Chansei thought to himself, Tiger? Lord Lushan wouldn't do that. He quickly asked, What are you doing here on the mountain? A big man with a stick laughed and replied, I heard there's a man-eating tiger on the mountain. We received the official notice to get rid of it, to eliminate harm for the residents of Narcissus Town. Exactly so. That's right. A group of people confidently responded in agreement. The first reaction is that this group of people is getting impatient with the living? The crowd lit a bonfire. Chansei thought it would be better to persuade them again, still hoping to come down the mountain with them. So he spoke up. I admire your sense of chivalry. Do you gentlemen have any plans? Fei Yin, the leader, felt that this beggar's manner of speaking was not simple. He replied, We will use live pigs and sheep as bait. When the ferocious tiger appears, we will all attack together. Chansei is foolish. Is this it? Isn't this just a head-on confrontation? Seeing how confident they really are here to die. He spoke out to advise. If the creature in this mountain is not an ordinary tiger, but a monster that has attained sentience, do you all have confidence? Someone responded, Monster? Is it true or not? Beggar, don't be so mysterious. If something unexpected happens, it's not anyone else's fault either. We can't turn back halfway. It's too embarrassing. Chansei thought, forget it. Wait until the moon rises above the eyebrows. Several, great hero, are all dressed up and ready to go. Indeed, with determination, answer the call to defeat the tiger. However, ignoring advice, a fool persists obstinate. The team is ready to set off. One sturdy man turned back and said to Chansei, Wait for our good news. When we come back, we will take you down the mountain. Chansei quickly shouted, If young hero Lu arrives in a critical moment, can shout to let you know, Mr. Chan. Remember? Chunfeng Lu looked puzzled and followed the team. They arrived at a predetermined location. They tied the sheep and pigs to the trees, then all hid in the trees, waiting quietly for the arrival of the ferocious tiger. After a long time, everyone waiting was exhausted. Suddenly, a gust of wind came from a distance. It made the branches around sway. Just heard a cracking sound. A 4-meter-long fierce tiger appeared in front of the live pig. The people in the trees were all standing with their hair on end. What a big fierce tiger! The fierce tiger stopped next to 2 domestic animals. Its fur swayed in the wind. Why isn't this tiger eating? I saw the tiger look up at the treetops. It opened its mouth. Interesting. Mortal warrior? Since you're looking for death, it shouldn't be regarded as violating the teachings of the master. Everyone's scalp tingles. goosebumps all over the body. This fierce tiger has truly become sentient. Since you're here, play with me first. The fierce tiger pounced towards the crowd. Fei Yin drew his long sword. With a swing, the sword slashed through. There was only a loud bang. In an instant, the sword shattered and hurt someone. Life and death are uncertain. A big man approached, wielding a stick. He had not yet gotten close. Then he was struck by an iron-like tiger tail. And he was sent flying, crashing into a big tree. Chun Fenglu shouted, "Let's fight!" The fierce tiger's big mouth was already hanging above his head. At this moment, he suddenly remembered Chan Sei's words. "Shout that we know Mr. Chan." At this moment, the tiger's mouth is only 0.01 centimeters away from him. "Have you been to the mountain god temple, Mr. Chan?" "Yes." "Yes, there was a beggar in the temple who advised us not to come. But we didn't listen. He advised, 'When you see him, you can call out, 'Do you know Mr. Chan?'" The tiger thought for a moment. The injured crowd dared not even take a breath. "Since it is the master's message, of course, I will be cautious. But I am also unsure if you are deceiving me. Let's go to the mountain god temple together." On the other side, Chan Sei is still fantasizing about whether they can succeed by chance. Suddenly, a sound of footsteps was heard, with other sounds seemingly mixed in between. "Who is it?" "Lord Lu Shan." Chan Sei felt as if 100,000 alpacas were running through his heart. What a damn bastard. How did he lure him over? Lord Lu Shan has met the master. In the incredulous eyes of people on Chunfeng Street, the tiger monster actually bowed to Chan Sei as a disciple. Chan Sei breathed a sigh of relief. It seems like talking can get things done. "Lord Lu Shan, no need for more courtesy." The tiger monster continued. "Last time, you taught me that cultivating like being a good person. Stand upright, avoid evil deeds. Keep a pure heart and clear mind. Tonight, they set up an ambush to kill me first. I should have no problem killing them. Why does Sir want to leave a message to save them?" Chan Sei thought it was bad. "Your mother, a tiger. Why is your leadership ability so strong?" "I must give a reasonable answer. Otherwise, the consequences will be very serious. As the saying goes, with good intentions to save, I find myself in peril. Yet the wary tiger lurks, ready to pounce." Chan Sei wants to compliment him first before speaking. No student dislikes being praised by their teacher. You can draw inferences about other things from one thing. Hearing the words and ceasing the killing shows that Lord Lu Shan has extremely high comprehension. He also has strong execution ability. These people come to the mountains to hunt tigers. The root cause is that Lord Lu Shan ate people first. They entered the mountain afterward. Of course people want to kill me. I can kill people myself. Otherwise, wouldn't it be foolish to wait for death? Lord Lu Shan felt extremely relieved when he heard this. Even the tiger's head was nodding slightly. However, they conspired with the hunter for the tiger's skin. The medicine merchant's intention in conspiring for the tiger's skin is different. Entering the mountains is for the sake of peace for the people, not for personal gain. Lord Lu Shan thinks, are there many people like this or not? The fierce tiger replied with clasped hands and said, "Not many. Chivalrous heroes like them, although young and reckless. But as long as you adhere to your original intentions, can contribute more to the world." Lord Lu Shan was not wrong to kill him, but the world is lacking a few chivalrous heroes, which is truly a pity. A few young heroes have strong martial arts skills, but in front of Lord Lu Shan, it's child's play. Only then will they beg Lord Lu Shan to spare them. I also want to make an interesting agreement with Lord Lu Shan. Could Lord Lu Shan please grant this favor? Please go ahead, sir. These people are righteous today. It doesn't mean they will always behave properly in the future. Lord Lushan can serve as a witness. If someone does wrong in the future, you will be in charge of administering justice. Whether it is swallowing or beheading, it is not against the heavenly way. But if someone among them can truly act righteously and chivalrously, Lord Lushan's actions today are enough to offset past wrongdoings. It is truly a great deed. This is a case of a clear conscience and enlightened mind. Lord Lushan listens with eyes shining like a tiger. The demonic energy is growing strong. All previous doubts have been dispelled. He instantly got it. Mr. S meaning is that I, Lord Lushan, have a chance to manifest. Otherwise, how could I fulfill the agreement in the mortal world? Rather than saying Mr. intends to save these few people, it's more like Mr. is using them, conveniently sending a big chance, a big opportunity to assist me. Then clasping both hands together, they listened to Mr. S' teachings. Thank you, Lord Lushan. I shall obey Mr. S' commands. Do you need me to accompany them down the mountain? Several people hurriedly shouted. No need, no need. We can manage on our own. Chansei said, let them go back on their own. The tiger said, receive Mr. Lushan's guidance again. Lord Lushan has nothing to offer for now. However, he can give these young heroes a face. After you descend the mountain, you can tell others that the fierce tiger has been killed. No need to worry from now on. As the tiger spoke, it bared its teeth, spitting out a white tiger skin. Its fur stained with blood, as if it had just been peeled off. Mr. Chan, the student begs to be excused. The tiger leaps up fiercely. It leaves with a trail in the wind. Chansei breathed a sigh of relief. I thought I finally managed to fool my way through. Suddenly felt all over like an electric shock, like itching. In a daze, the index finger and middle finger converge to create the illusion of a chess piece. Wait for Chansei to raise his hand again. But then it disappeared again. The people outside the temple bowed in gratitude. They said their companion was injured and needed treatment. Sir, would you like to come down the mountain with us? Chansei was just waiting for this line. He quickly agreed. At 4 in the morning, the night watchman saw a group of people approaching in the distance. Who is that? A big man leading the group. He was carrying a large tiger skin. It's Chansei and his group. As the saying goes, Chan the great deceiver unleashes his charm anew. Startled we may be, yet safely we descend the mountain. The news of the evil tiger being killed quickly spread after daybreak. The county yamen sent people to come and investigate. Seeing such a large tiger skin, they all marveled and exclaimed in awe. On the other side, Chunfeng Lu came to greet Chan southeast at her place. Chansei asked, Young hero Lu, how is your friend's injury? Chunfeng Lu said that everything is fine now. Only Hung Du's arm is broken. Can Mr. Chan help him? Chansei said he is not proficient in medicine. However, if the young hero Du can overcome this difficulty, his future will be limitless. Chunfeng Lu hurriedly thanked Chansei, handing over 150 taels of silver. He said he hadn't revealed Chansei's information as instructed. Reputation is important to them, and he insisted that Mr. Chan accept the silver. Despite being penniless, Chansei accepted the gift. Chunfeng Lu mentioned that they would be leaving Ning'an County tomorrow, and asked Chansei about his plans. Chansei expressed that he plans to stay here for a period of time. I heard that the houses here are not expensive. The annual expenses are only a few taels of silver. It would be nice to buy a house here and stay for a while. I think since I can't go back now, then just live here well. Chunfeng Lu volunteered to accompany Chansei to look at the house. Arrived at a quaint courtyard with unique scenery. I heard that this house is only 36 taels of silver. Chansei immediately wants to buy it. It's just a little dusty. Just clean it up, and it'll be fine. Chunfeng Lu helped Chansei to get the property deed. I heard that this house has had 3 owners in 7 years. Either they died of illness or accident. What? This is a haunted house. He was just about to get angry. Suddenly remembered what Chansei said. A little dust. Tidy up? Mr. Chan is an expert. Should be no problem. Then went to handle the procedures with someone. Chansei was leaning against the window, daydreaming. Suddenly, his arm felt numb as if an electric shock passed through it. The phantom of a flag, with threads of electric current winding around the fingertips. What is this? The mysterious phenomenon that appeared after Lord Lushan left? But here is the question. What can it do? I don't know. Can it regulate the conception and govern our vessels? Suddenly, a gentle breeze started blowing indoors. Faint green spiritual energy appeared one after another. The green spiritual energy circled around the illusory chess piece, forming a subtle whirlpool. Suddenly, the door creaked. Chansei signaled to come in. Chunfeng Lu handed over the property deed and keys to Chansei. Chansei had a happy face. From my previous life to now, I finally own my first house in this lifetime. The next morning, Chansei bid farewell to a group of people, saying, "Farewell, heroes who fight tigers!" Shouting loudly, "Until we meet again by fate!" Then, he went to buy a new set of clothes. Unexpectedly, it suited him well. And purchased furniture, clothing, and daily necessities. Had the boss deliver them to the home together. The boss's expression was full of fear. Chansei asked in confusion what was going on. The boss didn't dare to offend the big gold owner. He quickly said he would send someone to deliver them. Wait until everything is delivered. The colleagues hurriedly fled as if escaping. Chansei wondered if there was something fishy about this house. Looking at the well in front of him being blocked by a stone, Chansei felt uncomfortable about the well. As the saying goes, by chance I stumbled upon a haunted cave. Just as I escaped the tiger's mouth, I fell into another trap. Chansei couldn't fall asleep no matter how much he tossed and turned. And he felt increasingly cold. What sound? The wooden board covering the well, pressed down by a stone, was slowly being flipped upwards, though it creaked under the strain. Suddenly there was a loud bang. Chansei, lying on the bed, suddenly opened his eyes. A rush of cold air surged over his head. A large mass of black gas rushed out from the well. Chansei pulled the blanket on the bed to wrap himself up. Inside, he cursed the real estate agents frantically. Through the crack, he saw a dark humanoid figure. Is this a malevolent ghost already? Escape? It seemed too late. What to do? As the malevolent ghost approached, strands of white mist left his body. Is he absorbing my yen energy? Chansei felt that breathing was becoming more and more difficult. His body gradually became unable to move. Tiger monster has already survived through such dire straits. Yet, he is going to fall here? I refuse to accept it. That go game. That chess piece. Do something quickly. Chansei made a fierce move, shouting, "I will not accept this." At the same moment, he suddenly stood up. His arm extended, like a sword pointing forward. At the tip of his finger, it transformed into an illusionary chess piece. Get out of here! One finger poking the malevolent ghost in front. A sharp and eerie scream resounded. The dark shadow was fiercely bounced away. Bounced directly out of the door. The dark shadow was clearly afraid. Quickly passed through the door and escaped into the well. On the other side, Ning'an County City God Temple. Where is the night watch? Quickly go to the soul-locking well in the south of the city to investigate. 2 underworld messengers have been ordered. Turned into 2 ethereal shadows and flew out. Chansei sat up from the bed, wearing a look of having survived a disaster. He thought about running away quickly. Otherwise, he wouldn't know what would happen next time. Suddenly, 2 underworld messengers floated to the door, and Chansei found that he could see them clearly. Seeing ghosts again? The underworld messenger went straight to the well, and found that most of the malicious energy inside had dissipated. It was the perfect opportunity to eliminate it. Chansei thought to himself, "Do they think I can't see it?" So one underworld messenger went back to report while another stayed here. "I didn't expect that the city god is actually real. Will there be celestial beings here as well? Since they are here, I don't need to run, right? After all, I spent 36 taels. And I can also witness the exorcism and eradication of evil." Underworld messenger turned to look at Chansei. "I wonder why he's still not going to bed. Could it be that energy is disturbing him?" Suddenly, a strong smell of sandalwood wafted over. Chansei turned around to look. Has the city god personally arrived? The underworld messenger bowed and said, "Greetings, Lord Martial Judge, Lord Rewarder of Virtue, Lord Punisher of Evil, Lord Inspector. I am obedient. Isn't this lineup a bit too grand?" As the saying goes, by fate's design I passed the perilous trial. And at just the right moment, met a noble official. Martial Judge saw Chansei and asked, "Is this the new mortal who has joined? Is there anything unusual?" His subordinate replied, "No, there isn't." "What's going on with the significant decrease in malicious energy here?" The malevolent ghost suddenly screamed loudly tonight. It seems to have been seriously injured. Lord Martial Judge analyzed. Could it be that a master passed by and helped us incidentally? Punisher of Evil said to first subdue the malevolent ghost. Investigate further slowly. Inspector reconsidered, indicating that the opportunity must not be missed. Rewarder of Virtue also reconsidered. So the martial judge began to give orders. Each department's envoys prepare the soul-locking formation. Receive the command? Chansei is here, ready to take action. But do we really need such a big show of force? Several underworld messengers were seen holding black flags. A thin film enveloped the yard. Is this the soul-locking formation? Martial Judge sees that everything is ready, ordering Soul Reaper to take action. Several Soul Reapers threw the soul-binding chain into the well. Just a single sound rise. With the swinging of the chain, the malevolent ghost is pulled out of the well, frantically screaming loudly. Chansei is shocked and turns pale. Is this thing just now? The malevolent ghost fought like a trapped beast, extending a dark shadow to attack the underworld messenger. But it was calmly dodged. The martial judge shouted, "Chop!" Several sword-wielding underworld messengers drew their swords and rushed forward. Evil obstacles. Tonight, I will make your soul scatter. Martial judge summoned the ritual implement. They rushed forward one after another and greeted the malevolent ghost. Just heard a bang. And evil energy erupted. 2 underworld messengers were blasted away. As the smoke dispersed, a underworld messenger stood in front of Chansei, finally knowing he was protecting the onlookers. Chansei thought to himself, strange. My eyes can't see normal things clearly, but can see things that others can't. It seems that this creature is about to give up. The creature suddenly exploded. Countless arms surged out, reaching out towards the nearby underworld messenger. The ordinary ritual implement unexpectedly cannot cut through it. As the arms exerted force, underworld messenger was grabbed and crushed. Several chains that bound the malevolent ghost were also broken. It took the opportunity to struggle hard. The chains looked like they were about to be shaken open. Martial Judge shouted loudly. The other 4 people together activated their magic power. Strike at the creature that resists in a corner. The creature writhes in pain, rolling back and forth, emitting a piercing scream. Chansei collapsed on the ground. If he had been like this just now, I would be done for. Martial Judge flew forward, but was almost bitten by the creature. fell heavily to the ground. The creature took the opportunity to break all the chains. Completely broke free. Chansei is completely panicked. As the saying goes, bystanders see more of the game than players. Who could foresee a twist of fate, threatening life's light? Chansei thought it wouldn't work. I have to slip away quickly. Thinking about it, I suddenly stood up. Which creature in the sky saw it suddenly seemed to be shocked by a strong scare. Immediately shrank in the net, and dared not move. Martial Judge saw a good opportunity, and shouted to act. The chains of the underworld messengers shook, and the 4 affiliated officials simultaneously chanted spells. Then the momentum surged. Leading everyone, they leaped up and rushed towards the creature. Judge's brush, soul-punishing whip, inspector's cloak, longevity robe. Take advantage of the right timing and favorable geographical conditions. Attack with all your might towards the vicious and malevolent ghost. Chansei holds his breath, watching as the creature is finally scattered, ultimately turning into flying ashes. Chansei heaves a sigh of relief and sits down. Fortunately, the side of justice has emerged victorious. He looked up. He found the affiliated official, an underworld messenger standing in front of him. Is this an attempt to kill me? Several officials greeted Chansei and admitted their ignorance, not realizing the experts were already here. Thank you for your help. Chansei was so flustered that she didn't know what to say. Martial Judge bowed and said, I was still wondering about this earlier. Who is the master who injured this creature like this? I didn't think that it had been sitting in the yard all along. Shortly after, the affiliated officials bid farewell and left. They reported to the city god, and I only heard a swoosh sound. They've all flown away. Chansei collapsed on the table. There is no longer that eerie and terrifying feeling in the well. Finally, I can get a good night's sleep. The next day, Chansei slept until the afternoon. She looked at the well in the courtyard. She still felt uncomfortable. I think I'll go outside to fetch water. Chansei arrived at the public water well. She heard everyone discussing. Last night, he heard a terrifying scream. He calmly drew water from the well. The 2 girls on the side saw Chansei and were discussing who she was. She looks really nice. Chansei's heart blossomed with joy. She was completely unaware of the puddle of water by her feet. She slipped, fell to the ground, causing others to burst into laughter. He truly is a gentleman. Chansei felt extremely embarrassed. A voice came. This distinguished scholar, let me help you. A boy who looked around 11 or 12, with dark but delicate features, stood in front of Chansei. Huh? I can actually see his face clearly. I can only see extraordinary things. Little kid, what's your name? How old are you? I'm called Qingyin, and I'm already 12. Speaking of which, thanks for helping Chansei. Later on, they arrived at Serenity Courtyard. Qingyin looked terrified. Scholar, you live here? Chansei replied. Sure. Can you help me carry the water in? Qingyin said his parents didn't allow him to come here. Chansei thought to himself. The neighbors don't know. Malicious creature has been dealt with. You can just leave it at the door. Call me Mr. Chan in the future. Watch Qingyin leave. Chansei waved goodbye. Suddenly, the day watch of the city god arrived to pay respects. Chansei asked what business you had with her. Day Watcher is busy saying that City God would like to meet with you. Please go to City God Temple for a chat. As the saying goes, an unintentional act subdued the underworld. As gods and spirits watch, the sage weaves his plots. Day Watch is here to invite you. Chansei said please wait. I put the water in. Then go to the City God Temple with Day Watch. Chansei thought this attitude is too good. I'm not a big shot. I saw little Qingyin on the side. Chansei smiled and greeted him. Little Qing looked at the departing Chansei and thought, "Too scary." He was walking and talking to the air? Is he talking to ghosts? Then he turned around and ran away. He ran straight back home. He told his parents that someone was talking to ghosts. His mother quickly stopped him, saying he was talking nonsense. His father, Zhao Xianyin, looked serious and asked, "How do you know?" Qing quickly described his experience just now and asked his father, "Do you think it might be the ghost in the courtyard?" And the distinguished scholar came out together? Zhao Xianyin seemed lost in thought. Remained silent. His wife quickly cautioned Qing not to talk about this matter outside. Then suggested taking Qing to city god temple to burn incense. Zhao Xianyin said to go after eating. The scene shifts to city god temple. Chansei and the day watch have arrived. The old city god nodded and motioned for his subordinates to step back. Chansei thought to himself. Unexpectedly, he appeared in the guise of an old mortal man, only to see the city god extending his hand in gratitude to Mr. Chan's assistance. Chansei hurriedly returned the gesture. Later, the city god invited Chansei to have a meal and chat outside together. The two arrived at a tea house. The waiter brought out pastries. Chansei and the city god thanked him at the same time. The waiter looked puzzled. These two are really polite. Chansei took a bite of pastry and invited city god to have some too. City god laughed and said, "I do not have a physical body. Mortals should not eat too much food." City god then asked, "Where did Mr. Chan come from?" Chansei thought to himself, "Past life matters must not be disclosed." So he hesitated to answer the question. However, he mentioned that certain Ji would be staying here for a while. City god said it was fine, stating, "Mr. Chan's kindness to our county is sufficient." Later, he explained the origin of that creature. It turned out to be a manifestation of earthly malevolence causing mischief. City god personally led his subordinates to suppress it. However, the ghostly entity proved to be extremely cunning. In the end, both sides suffered losses. They sealed the ghostly entity in the well at Serenity Courtyard and used a formation to contain it. They planned to wait until its injuries healed before removing it. They informed the people in the county through dream projection that the house is not safe. Afterwards, thanked Chansei once again. They helped eliminate this major threat. Chansei only now understands. The actual situation is far more dangerous than what was seen at night. They will never seek excitement again in the future. As the saying goes, from lofty peaks and leafy woods, I glimpse but a part. While safely watching the flames across the river, my heart's at ease. After listening to City God's story, Chansei said, "It seems like I am the last unlucky one in Serenity Courtyard." City God chuckled and said, "Beating you, sir, is when that creature's misfortune truly begins." Chansei bowed to City God. There are many things he wants to consult with him. Mr. Chan said, "I know that you have nothing to hide." Chansei asked, "Do you have an understanding of the methods of personal cultivation in the world?" City God stated that he practices the path of incense and golden body. "I don't understand the methods of chi cultivation and spiritual refinement. There are some books on martial arts for ordinary people." Chansei is slightly disappointed. There are no cultivation techniques. Who would have expected the city god to suddenly arrive? There are still some basic chi cultivation methods available. However, they are too rudimentary. I'm afraid they won't be of use to the master. Chansei is overjoyed. If it is convenient for the city god, could you allow me to borrow it? I also want to take a look at the martial arts of mere mortals. The city god graciously agrees. The book will be sent to your home shortly. Chansei has resolved a matter that was weighing on the heart. Thanked the city god respectfully. Later he asked, what celestial abode for cultivation are there now? Famous mountains and great lakes? The city god was stunned. He didn't even know such a common question? Could it be that he's really not a master after all? But he still spoke up. Throughout Chizhou, the only thing heard about is the jade-holding mountain. As for how disciples are recruited, that is really unknown. Chansei blurted out, asking about the heavenly court. City God thought it sounded very important. It means he doesn't know where the gentleman is talking about the celestial abode. There is no heavenly court here? Chansei has returned. This is the powerful celestial abode City God I have heard of before. I see it now. It must be extraordinary. Chansei then asked, which country are we in now? What dynasty is it? How many changes of dynasty have we been through? City God was completely stunned. Not understanding matters of cultivation is one thing, but this. Not even aware of common knowledge in the mortal realm? Let's have a chat. His knowledge and demeanor are not ordinary at all. Suddenly, he remembered reading a fairy tale during his time as an official. A story about an immortal monster. The main idea is about a strange person who can sleep for 1,000 years. Upon waking up, their reaction is similar to Chansei's now. Could it be true? Look at the silent and dazed city god Chansei and call out a few times. The city god finally came to his senses. But his tone became respectful. Mr. Chan, please listen to what I have to say. Our current dynasty is Dezhen, which has lasted for 200 years. Before that was Dezhou. Chansei seemed lost in thought. This is completely different from the history he knew. Later, the host and guests had a great time. Chansei bid farewell and left. Let's make another appointment to continue our conversation. Qing Yin and his father, who came to make an offering, also happened to be there. Qing Yin pointed to Chansei, who was bidding farewell to the city god, and said, that's the gentleman. Zhao Xianyin fell into contemplation. These two individuals both have extraordinary bearing. Have you never seen them in Ning'an County before? As the saying goes, awakening with a hearty laugh, the game departs. Unaware I've dreamt 1,000 years, lost in thought. Watching Chansei leaving. Zhao Xianyin greeted Qing Yin and asked her to go to the temple to offer incense first. They followed behind the old man. Zhao Xianyin wondered who the old man was. He had met all the prominent figures in the county before. Could he be a newcomer from outside? Thinking about it, he walked through the corridor and arrived at the main hall where incense was burned. But inside, there was no one to be seen. I clearly saw the old man enter first. How did he disappear? Qing Yin also said she saw him coming in. The father and son finished offering incense and were getting ready to leave. Qing Yin suddenly shouted, Dad! The statue of the city god looks just like the old man we saw earlier. Zhao Xianyin was stunned. Indeed, they looked exactly the same. Mr. Chan is really being quite unbelievable. If he can stay in the courtyard for more than half a month without any issues, then I will personally pay him a visit. The next day, Chansei was lying flat in the yard. Everything in this world is good, except there's no internet or phone. How can time be passed? Right, playing chess. And previously because of Lord Lu Shan's appearance of chess pieces. Now it has changed to black pieces. The original chess pieces were elusive, difficult to distinguish between black and white. Now it has become a black piece. And the texture of this black piece is becoming more and more real. Can it really be placed on the Go board? But why is there such a change? It seems to be related to pointing a finger at that creature that night. As Chansei becomes more and more engaged. The wind started blowing in the courtyard. The wind surrounds Chansei without dispersing. Auras of azure spiritual energy converge from all directions. Between Chansei's fingers, apart from the center, there is also a bit of black. A large amount of azure spiritual energy has already gathered. At this point, Chansei is starting to struggle a bit. His arms feel as heavy, as if lifting a heavy barbell. It's better to dissipate some of it first. Absorb it when it becomes thinner. When it dissipated to only 1/3 left, Chansei then activated the absorption spell. A sensation similar to an electric shock ran through him. The aura of the Qing spirit entered naturally. It was an extremely painful sensation. Chansei gritted his teeth, maintaining his focus on following the flow of energy. Guide the spiritual energy to circulate within the body. Finally, it's over. Chansei collapsed on the ground. Thankfully, most of the spiritual energy has dispersed. Otherwise, it would have been a disaster. Mr. Chan, the booklet has been delivered to you, Chansei said. Please come in. I am feeling a bit tired, so I won't open the door. A group of underworld messengers entered the courtyard through the walls and said that inside are all the books Mr. Chan requested. Several large boxes? So many! As the saying goes, observing and grasping the way, drawing in the spirit's flow. With caution and care, I refine my form from within. Looking at several large boxes of books. Chansei, please ask the underworld messenger to carry them into the room. Watching the books and boxes passing through the wall with the underworld messenger, Chansei wondered if these books had no substance at all. There was only a loud thud. The box landed. Chansei was relieved. It really is a wonderful transportation spell. The underworld messenger bid farewell and left. Chansei couldn't wait to open the box. It turned out to be a set of bamboo scrolls. The characters on them are all engraved. To make it more convenient for Chansei to read, he held the bamboo scrolls and sat under the jujube tree in the yard. Start reading the content on the bamboo scroll. Yin and Yang, the 5 elements. All draw upon the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Wash and cleanse oneself, refine and cultivate to achieve true refinement. This upside-down breathing technique is just a basic method. For ordinary people, it is already considered like a cryptic book. I have almost understood it. Try it. There is a vast world outside. Inside is a small world. Perceive the vastness of the world. Master the great principles of the universe. Secret method, the creation of the world. Since the world in front of me has changed, it has turned into a state composed of large pieces of aura. Although the quantity is not as much as that brought by chess pieces, it is extremely gentle. This is the correct way to absorb aura, isn't it? Take a look at something else. Essence of technique. Illusion technique. A minor fire control spell in the fire arts. Minor water control technique and minor water avoidance technique in the water arts. It's just basic, but it is enough to glimpse the mysteries of this world. What else? Chansei searched through it all over. Find 2 martial arts manuals. They are the Iron Sentence Battle Scroll and the Eagle Claw. Both of these styles were created by high-ranking officials. The moves are powerful and easy to learn, belonging to the upper middle level of martial arts. Wait till I finish reading the cultivation classics. Let's practice a little. It's also good to have more self-defense techniques. The next morning at dawn, the crowing of roosters was already echoing back and forth. Chansei, who was reading, only then realized that an entire night had passed. He looked back at the jujube tree. It's so big. When it comes to the harvest season, it must bear abundant fruits. He touched the jujube tree and said, "With you accompanying me to read all night, it doesn't feel lonely anymore." For the next half-month, Chansei lived a selfless life. When the body can bear spiritual energy, just gather spiritual energy in a chess piece pattern. Then use the method of transforming qi through the generation of heaven and earth. Afterwards, practice the secret techniques of 2 martial arts manuals. In your spare time, take a look at the ancient chess manual. Other than going out to eat at meal times every day, Chansei lives even more reclusively than in their previous life. On this day, Chansei adjusts their breathing and stands tall like a pine tree. Standing steadily at the top of the branch, Chan Se has finally achieved the current level of skill after practicing light work for so long. He pushed off from the tip of his toes, leaped down, landed steadily on the ground, and struck a handsome pose. With the help of my intelligence and spiritual energy, practicing cultivation really speeds things up. As the saying goes, with mastery over the primal, all paths converge. Countless teachings flow, the sage no longer wanders. Chan Se went out for a meal. He left the neighborhood and arrived at the bustling street. He walked as usual to the familiar Sunji noodle stall. He told the boss, "I'm here to eat noodles." The boss busily greeted Chan Se and said, "Please have a seat quickly." Chan Se said, "It's still the same as before." A bowl of braised noodles. Qingyin suddenly saw Chan Se not far away. Say to Zhao Xianyin, "Dad, it's Mr. Chan." Zhao Xianyin turned around to look. It has now been half a month. Mr. Chan has a rosy complexion. There is absolutely no sign of being harmed. Then he suddenly turned around. He grabbed little Qingyin and headed towards the noodle stall. Then he said to the boss, "Mr. Sun, 2 bowls of braised noodles." The father and son sat at the next table, watching Chan Se drink tea. Zhao Xianyin coughed twice. Pretend to casually exclaim, "Oh? You must be Mr. Chan. I heard there's a new refined scholar in town. I have been wanting to visit." Little Qingyin blushed red with embarrassment. Daddy's acting is just a bit cringeworthy. Chan Se clasped his hands in greeting. "I have long heard that Master Yin is very knowledgeable. I was wondering why they suddenly changed their minds. So they actually wanted to accidentally encounter me?" Chan Se immediately spoke in praise of little Qingyin's knowledge and sophistication. He said he still remembers the kindness of the person who carried a load of water and invited them to sit at the same table. Zhao Xianyin couldn't ask for more. He exchanged seats with Qingyin, and the boss brought out steaming braised noodles. Chan Se thanked the boss. Zhao Xianyin looked puzzled. After all, this era has a strict social hierarchy. Very few people are polite to serve as staff. So he also awkwardly said, "Thank you." Boss Sun was sweating profusely, feeling even more uncomfortable. Chan Se thought to himself, Master Yin, as a scholar, may not look down on the boss, but still considers himself superior. But I thanked him. He also had to keep up, albeit unwillingly. The world has strict hierarchies. Being knowledgeable and rational also depends on who you are dealing with. Master should do better. His students may become the backbone of the country in the future. After finishing the noodles, Chan Se shouted to pay the bill. Now Xianyin was busy saying that this meal was on him. Chan Se didn't refuse either. Before leaving, he said a word to Master Yin. Vendors and laborers are the mirror of the nation. Those who teach should be valued for their virtue and achievements, serving as role models for others. Zhao Xianyin stood there dumbfounded for a long time without coming to his senses. It was not until little Qingyin asked a question that he came to his senses. He let out a sigh and said, "Let's go home. Tomorrow morning, we will visit Mr. Chan at Serenity Courtyard." The next morning, father and son of the Yin family arrived at the entrance of the courtyard. Zhao Xianyin felt that it used to be gloomy here, but now there is a natural and fresh feeling. He was just about to knock on the door. Chan Se's voice had already arrived, "Come in." The courtyard gate is not locked. In the bustling streets, a chance encounter unfolds. A single word awakens those lost in their tomes. Just as the one word, but also the words of the gentleman yesterday. Chan Se didn't care. "I don't know how the preparation is going." Master Yin humbly said it's just a kind gesture from everyone. Classes will begin in 2 days. Zhao Xianyin also thought of something and then asked Mr. Chan with a strange look. "You have a well in the yard. Why do you still have to fetch water from outside?" Chansei did not hide it, and said that the well had been contaminated with something dirty, so it couldn't be used for drinking. Zhao Xianyin also realized something, subconsciously moved his body aside a bit. He stepped back a little from the well, and then saw a chess manual on the table. He then brought up the topic of Go, conversing with Chansei in the courtyard. The more they chatted, the more Zhao Xianyin felt the depth of Chansei's calculations to be unfathomable. Knows everything about astronomy and geography. Has unique and insightful views. Insights are truly unheard of. Although it seems to know everything. But in worldly matters, people often consult him. It's strange too. It wasn't until the afternoon that the father and son left. Chansei was satisfied, chatting with knowledgeable but not stuffy people, feeling a connection. Glancing at the flower wine on the stone table, Chansei lifted the lid and took a sniff. He directly used a small water control spell. The wine condensed into a stream and flew into his mouth. This spell could be considered basic. As night fell, two groups of martial artists were engaged in a fierce battle. Amidst the flips and jumps, someone shouted, "Hand over the sword and tent!" The man wearing a bamboo hat looked defiant and replied, "Impossible!" The opponent swiftly threw a hidden weapon, catching the bamboo-hatted man off guard, injuring his shoulder. He gathered his true chi, wildly swinging his sword, cutting off numerous branches. Seizing the opportunity, he fled forward with all his might, realizing that stealing the sword and tent was more treacherous than he had expected. The pursuers were close behind, shouting that the sword and tent was left behind by the sword fairies of a lunatic before his death, containing his sword techniques and intentions. "How dare you steal?" On the other side, Lord Lushan roared loudly. He gained a new insight into his cultivation, and he might transform in a few years. Suddenly, he heard a rustling sound. Was someone approaching? The two groups of martial artists were still desperately chasing each other. The injured man gritted his teeth, took out a sword charm from his chest, stood on a huge rock, and shouted, "You are all fighting for this, right? If you push me too far, I'll just destroy this thing." The pursuers quickly stopped, and a standoff ensued. Just as the man in the straw hat was in a dilemma, a sudden gust of wind swept through, and the item in his hand flew out. Everyone was shocked. The pursuers leaped forward, while the man in the straw hat took the opportunity to escape. As the pursuers reached out to grab the charm, the strange wind suddenly caused it to rise high into the sky, eluding their grasp. The pursuers looked frustrated as they missed their chance. On the other side, Lord Lushan gently flicked open the letter with his fingernail. Good handwriting. It's a pity that despite the sharpness conveyed in the characters. Such good handwriting. A red fox was pressed under Lord Lushan's claws. He said, "I know you opened your wisdom long ago. Have you met the master at the mountain god temple?" The fox dared not offer any resistance and nodded slightly. The subtitle recognition failed. Saying that, it opened its mouth and spit out the scroll of sword and tent. There are my first strands on it. The gentleman should recognize it. But you must not disturb the gentleman's practice. The red fox could only respond weakly. Lord Lushan's face showed satisfaction. Go on. This is also your destiny. If you dare to lose the calligraphy scroll, I will skin you. Lord Lushan thought to himself. Giving calligraphy and paintings as gifts shouldn't be considered a common gesture, right? If the gentleman happens to like it very much, praise a few more words. Thinking about it makes me very happy. Thinking about this, he hummed a tune. He walked back with a happy stride. Chansei went out for a meal as usual. Arrived at a bustling market. Chansei suddenly heard a commotion in the street. It turned out to be that red fox. It was actually being torn apart by two dogs. Chansei frowned. Use martial arts skills and body techniques. Come to the front. At this moment, a big man is hitting a yellow dog with a stick. The yellow dog, in pain, releases the fox. The big man is happy that the fox is now his. But the dying fox immediately leaps up. Is this fox faking it? Seeing this, 2 yellow dogs pounced again. The little fox fell to the ground with a serious injury. Suddenly, a figure in a long green robe stood in front of the yellow dogs. The red fox was stunned on the spot. Immediately raised its front legs and kept bowing towards Chansei. The crowd was amazed and talked about who this person was. It seemed to be a friend of Master Yin. Chansei recognized the tiger fur of Lord Lu Shan. It seems that this fox is specifically here to find me? So he arched his hand and said to the big man, "Can I have this fox?" "I'll offer 100 won. Mr. Chan, if you want it, just take it. 100 won is 100 won." Chansei said a word of thanks. Pick up the little fox and say to the 2 yellow dogs, "How about you leave too?" As a result, a few big yellow dogs hesitated for a moment, then turned and walked away. The onlookers were so shocked that they couldn't even speak. Chansei hurriedly said, "Let's disperse." Before everyone could react, he used his light skills to disappear at the corner of the alley. This injury is too severe. Chansei was pushing his spiritual energy into the fox while walking. He didn't care about anything else. He used light skill to hurry along the way, leaving a trail of afterimages. He quickly asked the doctor to come and take a look. The doctor said he had never treated animals before. Chansei urgently said that this is also a life. Please try your best to save it. The doctor didn't say a word. He took Chansei inside to treat him. As the saying goes, the red fox bears gifts but faces calamity. Yet fate spares its life, turning turmoil to tranquility. The little fox has received treatment and is now out of danger. In addition, Chansei uses spiritual energy to recuperate it. It is a blessing in disguise. Its cultivation has greatly advanced. The ways of fate in this world are indeed so marvelous. Fortune and misfortune are intertwined. Chansei opened the calligraphy scroll given by Lord Lu Shan. She exclaimed, "Impressive handwriting! But wait, this can't be considered as characters, but rather a dynamic sword technique. Even though there is no aura on this calligraphy scroll, not written by a cultivator, yet the recorded sword technique has unexpectedly formed a sword intent. Contains supreme wisdom and will. It is unexpected that mundane sword techniques could be refined to such a level. The warrior who wrote this calligraphy must be a remarkable talent. I wonder if they are still around." Chansei waved a hand, picked up the branch under his feet, and held it in his hand. There were claims in the past life about calligraphy being like sword techniques. Finally got to witness it. Using a small branch as a sword, Chansei wielded it gracefully. Each move and stance of the drifting dragon combines to demonstrate its sharpness in full display. The wind in the courtyard turns freely. Jujube flowers swirl around in response to the sword's guidance. The red fox, who was eating, was stunned. He saw Chansei wave his sleeve and swing the sword. The intent of the sword condensed the jujube flowers into a green dragon, bursting out of the courtyard directly and eventually dispersing. Passers-by caught a whiff of the fragrance and looked up, only to see a shower of flowers carried by the gentle breeze. Chansei calmed his breath and sheathed his sword. "Since I don't know the source of the calligraphy model, the move you just made is called Drifting Dragon, and the little fox settled in the courtyard. Chansei feeds it with fresh fish and meat every day. Occasionally, Chansei also uses spiritual energy to treat it. Qingyin also often visits the courtyard with her father. She gets along very well with the little fox." A week later, the red fox jumped onto the roof and looked towards the direction of the mountains. Chansei also appeared on the roof. "Maybe they want to go back? Since your injury is fully healed, do you feel restricted here? Then I'll send you back home tomorrow." The next day, Chansei called little Qingyin to accompany him in sending Hu back to the mountain. Arriving at the foot of the mountain, Chansei said, "Feel free to play around for a while." So little Chin and Red Fox let loose completely, playing and frolicking by the river, splashing water at each other. A small fish darted out of the water. Little Chin kept missing it. Unexpectedly, the little fox pounced directly and took a bite. It looked pleased at the person, and the sun was about to set. The two exhausted players and the fox sat by the river, extremely happy. Finally, they arrived at the mountain top. Chansei said, "Let's stop here. Little fox, we are destined to meet again." Little Chin also said goodbye loudly. "Don't forget about me." The little fox whimpered twice, eyes filled with reluctance. Chansei said, "Let's go." They pulled little Chin and turned to leave. They walked about a dozen steps. Chansei suddenly had a feeling in her heart. She turned around and looked at the motionless little fox. "Since we have met, I will give you another gift. Embarking on the path of cultivation. Anything may be lacking, except for a name." Chansei looked at the clouds in the sky. "From now on, you will be called Yunhu." The fox's eyes lit up and kept bowing to Chansei. Little Chin was speechless. "Is the rumor true?" Chansei brought Chin back. Turning around, there was a feeling of electricity in the sleeves of his arm. A virtual image of a chess piece flashed between his fingers. As the saying goes, in the face of dire straits, I refuse to let go. From despair to hope, a prosperous path shall grow. Chansei carried the tired little Chin back. Safety handed over to Zhao Xianyin. At this moment, the county magistrate and the head of the Wei family just left. Seeing Chansei and Zhao Xianyin introducing to County Magistrate Wu Wei. "This person is a strange individual. It is said that he can make a fox kneel down and beg for help, and make vicious dogs retreat on their own." Head of the Wei family looked astonished. This person is definitely extraordinary. Then he prepared to leave in a carriage. Chansei suddenly felt a connection in his heart. That person's chest had a ray of light. At this moment, Chansei was very eager to learn more about cultivation. By nightfall, he changed into a black knight's suit. He thought that the fat man showed a spiritual light on his body, which should be related to cultivation. Should he go confirm it in person? Then he used lightness skill to leap away, and soon disappeared. Before long, he saw the carriage from afar. Chansei thought it's good it didn't go far. Should I directly go up and communicate in a friendly manner? Suddenly, he saw several dark figures rushing towards the carriage. Several men with knives charged over. The carriage was then torn apart. The guard shouted loudly and rode up. The leader of the bandits raised his hand and threw 3 hidden weapons. The guards failed to dodge and were hit by 2 of them. Other guards quickly caught up. Head of the Wei family urged them to run quickly. The next moment, the coachman was knocked over. A large knife was placed on his neck. "I heard your family inherited a piece of blue jade. Hand it over." Head of the Wei family hurriedly said, "Hero! The jade pendant in my family is just ordinary. There is nothing special about it." The big man threatened, "You better think carefully before you answer." Head of the Wei family hastily said, "Are you after money or jewelry? I can give you both." The sinister big man smirked. "Only a child makes choices. I want it all." Head of the Wei family, in a panic, claimed that the blue jade was not on him. The big man ominously asked, "So you want to die?" "It's impossible to hide it now." Head of the Wei family reluctantly took out the blue jade. "That's it." Chansei saw it here. It was also time to make a move. The big man excitedly reached out to take the jade pendant. Little did Chansei know, Wu Wei suddenly launched an attack. 3 silver needles shot out, piercing the chest of the big man. With a swift movement, Wu Wei quickly moved forward and ruthlessly struck the big man with a palm. The big man was sent flying 2 zhan away before crashing to the ground. At this moment, Wu Wei abandoned his previous timidity and charged forward amid the stunned onlookers. Only 2 loud bangs were heard. 2 more people were flung out. They crashed into a big tree. Chansei thought, "Is this person pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger?" The leader, a big man, struggled to sit up. "You actually know martial arts." Wu Weiwei looked proud. "I just like to see you with that expression." Then he proceeded to interrogate the big man. "Where did you get the information about his family's ancestral jade pendant?" Suddenly, a gust of wind blew through. Wu Weiwei quickly dodged. A masked figure in black clothing appeared. "Seems like a formidable opponent to deal with." The masked man wasted no time. He pointed and swiftly approached. The speed was too fast. Wu Weiwei couldn't dodge in time and got injured in an instant. Before he could react, another finger from the opponent was already in front of his face. "It's over. My life is about to end." As the saying goes, in the treacherous world of Jianghu, where cunning schemes abound, when skill falls short, disaster soon will come around. In the twinkling of an eye, Chansei suddenly appeared and blocked the attack. In a flash, Chansei launched more than a dozen moves against the opponent. The masked man used both hands to barely parry the attacks. In just a few breaths' time, both arms were already numb. The protective true energy was all dispersed. In the moment he was distracted, Chansei appeared behind him like a ghost and directly dislocated his left arm. Having witnessed the dangers of the Jianghu world, as a precaution for safety, Chansei dislocated the other arm of the masked individual. Then he calmly went back. The masked man had a look of fear on his face. "Iron torture technique? Sir. Who is the master from the public gate?" Chansei thought to herself. "Sure enough. Using the iron torture technique made others think I am an expert in the court. I won't be exposed." The man in black realized he couldn't win in a fight and tried to bribe Chansei with money. Chansei remained silent. He directly revealed his trump card. "The opportunity to become immortal. Do you want it?" Chansei activated his spiritual energy. Changing the voice he speaks in, saying these nonsense words to deceive me? The masked man expressed that the path of immortals is elusive, but there are traces to follow. The jade pendant in Wu Weiwei's hand has an extraordinary origin. Chansei turned around and asked the head of the Wei family why they wanted to steal your jade. At this point, Wu Weiwei dared not hide the truth and said that his ancestors had once saved an immortal crane. Later, the immortal crane presented this jade pendant as a token of gratitude. It has been passed down through generations to the present day. However, it's just a legend. But the idea of becoming an immortal is too elusive. Even Zwa Lunatic, who is known as the Sword Fairy, ended his life in resentment. Chansei remained silent. The man in black quickly replied, "There are many magical things in this world." He was even 5 years ago, at the Chunmu River. He encountered a black-backed giant turtle. This giant turtle can speak, and even asked him for good wine. Did he get any information out of it? "Keep going." The giant turtle told me about the immortal destiny. One is the sword intent scroll hidden in Dingyuan Manor, the other is the ancestral blue jade of the Wei family. The third is located thousands of miles away in Tongzhou. As long as you spare me, I will tell you how to seek the immortal destiny. The head of the Wei family panicked and quickly said, "My lord, please do not believe his words. I am willing to present the jade pendant to you. Please do not spare him." He thought, "If I don't give it now, my life will be in danger." Chansei thought, "Given for free? It's truly tempting." This masked man exuded a strong sense of hostility and is definitely not a good person. Although this Wu Weiwei is not a good person either. But if we can force immortal destiny out and then silence them. It is not my intention. Do we have to use any means necessary in cultivation? Besides, I already have the sword intent attached. So he took over the blue jade head of the Wei family. This is a treasure that can lead one to the path of immortality. Are you genuinely repaying me? Or are you afraid I will turn against you? Wu Weiwei could only go against his own heart and say, The jade pendant is sincerely given to you by me, sir. How can a celestial being truly enjoy wealth and luxury freely? Chauncey burst into laughter upon hearing this. The few people present were all stunned. He casually tossed the jade pendant back to the head of the Wei family. He said, "I'm just passing by," only to see him turn around. "Knock out the two bandits. Please ask the head of the Wei family to hand over the criminals to the officials." Shortly after, a few swift figures disappeared without a trace. Only the head of the Wei family remained standing blankly in place, thinking to himself, "It seems like all of you have fallen into my hands." He. As the saying goes, in the presence of destiny, 100 forms take flight, yet my heart stays true, finding peace in the quiet light. Chauncey quickly returned home, opened the pair of sword and tent couplets, and examined them carefully. "I've looked at this couplet countless times in my heart. Do you need to burn it with fire or soak it in water?" With the movement of the fingers. Ordinary rice paper can't stand the fuss. With my eyesight, ordinary text is completely illegible. The profound sword intent in the sword intent calligraphy, I can see it clearly. He reached out and gestured with sword moves. Where is the mystery hidden? Suddenly, Chauncey discovered. It turns out to be a map. Sure, if it weren't for my exceptional luck, this secret might never have been discovered by anyone. Indeed, Zhui is a lunatic. I do not know about the Qingyin long sword that the masked person took. What kind of opportunities might arise? I am really looking forward to it. The next day, head of the Wei family returned to the city and inquired about Chauncey's whereabouts. Then he arrived at the door. At this time, Chauncey was playing chess with Zhao Xianyin. Chauncey said that there is a visitor at the door. At the same time, the sound of knocking on the door is heard. Little Qingyin ran to open the door. Head of the Wei family entered the courtyard carrying things. Explained the purpose to Chauncey. I heard about the fox visiting Chauncey. He also has such problems in his heart. He wants to seek help. Little Qingyin said Mr. Chan is amazing. He has seen a little fox kowtow with his own eyes. Head of the Wei family feels more at ease. Mr. Chan, are there really monsters and spirits in this world? Is there truly a path to immortality? Chauncey remained calm. Yes. Zhao Xianyin was stunned. Wu Weiwei took out the heirloom jade pendant. He wanted Chauncey to have a look. What secrets did it hold? I didn't look closely last night. Today it's delivered to my door. What a coincidence. Chauncey slowly infused a trace of spiritual energy into the blue jade. Only a faint light can be seen shining through. The light is clear enough for Zhao Xianyin and others to see. Wu Weiwei even held his breath, only to see the jade pendant showing for small words glowing with a spiritual light. Jade embraced sacred realm. Originally, was it jade holding mountain? Wu Weiwei was even more excited. Our Wei family's ancestral treasure is actually real. Opportunities on the path of immortality. Chauncey thought there must be a way to it. There is a weak magnetic force inside. It seems that even if Wu Weiwei snatches the blue jade, it will be of no use. Then return the blue jade to the head of the Wei family. Wu Weiwei bowed respectfully. Mr. Chan did not know how to seek immortal destiny. Chauncey thought to himself that he also wanted to know. I heard about this jade-holding mountain from the city god. So he casually said, I heard it's in northern Jizhou. Let's end the conversation here. Mr. Wei, take care of yourself. That's enough. Wu Weiwei bowed with clasped hands in salute. Bring out something. Say it's a token of the Wei family. It will be useful in the future. The Wei family will definitely spare no effort. Then get up and take your leave. Chauncey opened the pastries sent by the head of the Wei family and shared them with everyone. Then he stood up and said to Zhao Xianyin, I am preparing to go on a trip. Zhao Xianyin looked surprised. When does Mr. Chan plan to leave? Chan Se said if it's fast, tomorrow. If it's slow, maybe in 3 days. Father and son of the Yin family looked reluctant to part ways. Zhao Xianyin said, "Please let us know before you leave, sir. We will see you off." Chan Se bows in gratitude, looking up at the jujube tree. "It seems we won't be able to eat the jujubes this year. When the time comes, please pick them and distribute them to the neighbors." The next morning, many of the jujube tree's leaves show signs of yellowing, but the branches are already full of abundant fruit. As the saying goes, suddenly, as if autumn winds arrive overnight, the garden bears ripe fruits for all to delight. Chan Se is overjoyed. He thanked the jujube tree. "I don't know how long it will take to go out this time. Still, write a letter to Family Yin. Praise Master Yin's unparalleled virtue in the letter, worthy of the title of Master." And he left without a word, looking forward to Master Yin becoming a great Confucian in the future, teaching and enlightening the people of the world. After reading Chan Se's letter, Zhao Xianyin only felt a slight numbness on his scalp. There is unlimited ambition brewing in the heart. At the same time, the illusion of a chess piece flashed and disappeared in Chan Se's hand. Chan Se raised her hand in confusion, wondering if it was Master Yin. Did the letter I wrote have an impact on him? So he shouted loudly, "Goodbye, my friend." On the other side, father and son of the Yin family went to help Chan Se clean the yard. Then they gazed dumbfounded at the fruitful jujube tree above. Then Zhao Xianyin followed Chan Se's instructions. Distribute the dates to the neighbors. Mr. Sun at the noodle stand looks confused. Isn't it too early for this? Are the dates ripe already? One bite. This date is too delicious. But half a day's time. The whole county knows that Mr. Chan's date tree ripened early, and the news has been shared with everyone. And at this moment, Chan Se is on his way to Chunhui Manor. He took out the map that City God gave him before leaving. He thought to himself that it may take a while to get there. He might as well go to Chunmu River first to see if he can find that giant turtle. So he used his lightness skill and sped up. He quickly overtook a carriage in front of him. At night, Chan Se passed by a village. An old man asked, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" Chan Se said he was just passing through. The old man noticed Chan Se's gray-white eyes and asked, "Sir, what's wrong with your eyes?" Chan Se explained that his eyes were not in good condition and night travel was inconvenient. He asked if he could stay for the night. The old man came closer for a look and noticed that the man's pupils were pale. "There is a shadow under your feet too. Then come with us." After opening the door, the old man stepped forward and supported Chan Se, saying, "Let me help you inside." Chan Se understood instantly. Is he checking if I have a temperature? Soon, 2 burly men barricaded the entrance. Why does the atmosphere feel odd? He was then led into a room. "You will have to make do here tonight," the old man said as he poured a cup of tea. "Just made a fool of you. These days, there are too many strange things happening. One must be careful." Chan Se smiled and said it was no problem. But unexpectedly, the old man suddenly asked, "Are you a ghost?" Chan Se spit out a mouthful of tea directly. "Old man, don't joke like that." The elderly person offered an apology, saying there was trouble with a beautiful serpent here. Beautiful serpent, everyone is trying to avoid going out as much as possible now. Chan Se wondered, "Beautiful serpent? Could it be a monster?" The old man continued to explain. "It is said to be a giant snake with a human head and serpent body. It likes to lure young men over and eat them." Chan Se quickly said, "Old man, don't scare me. I think anyone who can talk like this must have some skills. Ordinary people can't defend against it at all." The old man solemnly asserted, "This has caused a commotion in Suiyuan County. Why would I deceive you?" Chan Se thought to himself, "Oh no, he's too reckless with his lightness skill while traveling. He underestimated his own speed and ran through 2 counties directly. There's no navigation here. Reckless driving causes trouble. As the saying goes, when venturing forth, heed this wise decree. Racing through life bears risks, be cautious and free. In the late night, suddenly intense barking came from outside. Chansei thought, dogs have sharp eyesight. Is there really a monster here? By the river outside the village, a long black shadow streaked across the ground. It raised its body and gazed towards the village, revealing its sturdy body and white scales on the belly. The first crow of a rooster sounded, which was around 3 o'clock in the early morning. A big man got up and walked out the door. He walked straight towards the riverbank to relieve himself. At the same time, he put on his clothes. He performed a small fire control technique, reached out his hand, and flicked his sleeve. The flame on the oil lamp was extinguished and trapped inside the sleeve. I'd like to see what the heck it is. The big guy finished his business. Suddenly, he heard a splash coming from the river. Maybe it's fish building a nest? Then a woman's voice immediately followed. Oh, it's so dirty! The big guy followed the sound to look. A naked woman was hiding on the shore. The big man quickly covered his eyes with his hands. Miss, please don't be offended. I didn't know you were bathing here. Although he said this, his heart was already stirred. What are you standing there for? Hurry up and leave. I'm getting up. The big man sneakily took a glance, and I will leave right away. Still sneakily turning back to steal a glance. Suddenly, he stopped in his tracks. All the dogs in the village gathered around and barked loudly towards the riverbank. With just a sound of awe, the big man turned around nervously and excitedly. What's wrong with you, miss? The woman said. I was just getting ashore when I was startled by a dog and fell. I twisted my foot. Young master, could you help me up? Is this appropriate? The big man said so with his mouth. The body, however, was very honest. He reached out and grabbed the woman's hand. Suddenly, a huge force came. The big man was pulled into the water completely. But he still looked pleasantly surprised. And he was very close to the woman in the water. Chansei speeds along the roofs of the village in the wind. Rushing in the direction where the dog barking was most intense, he arrived at the river. From afar, he saw a large snake coiled around a person. Near the snake's head was the shadow of a woman. A man was staring at the snake's head with a look of fascination. He slowly fed Chansei into the wide-open mouth of the snake. Chansei activated the boiling spiritual energy in her body. With a loud roar, she shouted, Evil creature! How dare you harm people? This roar instantly had a majestic feeling of thunder roaring. Not only was the sound of waves in the river rolling. The villagers who rushed over upon hearing the sound were all scared and covered their ears. The big snake in the river also shivered fiercely. A surge of demonic energy rose from its body, but it was not strong. The villagers who rushed over upon hearing the sound were all scared and covering their ears. The big snake in the river also trembled fiercely. A clear demonic aura rose from its body, yet not very strong. Chansei thought to himself, fortunately, it hasn't fully developed yet. And the man who was originally obsessed with beauty also sobered up. He let out a scream. Monster! The giant snake was startled once again. Instinctively, it whipped its tail, accidentally tossing the man onto the shore. The man scrambled to his feet and ran away. The snake unwillingly followed onto the shore. Chansei stood in front of it, asking, Dare you come up here? He reached out a hand, and a tree branch flew into Chansei's hand not far away. He wielded the tree branch in the manner of holding a sword, swirling it around. The drifting dragon sword technique swept past. The snake tail swept across Chansei's body with a sound of wind. But it was just an illusion. Chansei moved behind the serpent, guided by the lights of the people's homes. wielding the fire of the people. See if you can block this sword? Flames suddenly ignited on the branches. The sword's speed is extremely fast. The sword intent is like a dragon. This move is called Drifting Dragon Carries Fire. An infinite blaze swept through the back half of the dragon in an instant. The dragon writhed in pain and dove into the river. As the saying goes, above the character Lust hangs a razor-sharp blade while the sword glides like a drifting dragon, driving serpents away. The serpent monster's eyes watched as it jumped into the river, and even fire couldn't extinguish it. It directly opened its huge blood-basin mouth and took a bite on the still-burning tail. The onlooker villagers were scared silly. This big snake is too vicious. The trick of cutting off the tail to survive also caught Chansei off guard. Watching the departing serpent monster, Chansei shouted with full spiritual energy, "Tueyuan County City God, please watch over day and night. Where are you? A monster has appeared here. Please show up quickly to capture it." Chansei clutched his chest. To calm down the excessive consumption of spiritual energy, this was all he could do. He watched as the snake's body in the river continued to burn. The villagers were discussing heatedly. "It's the monster beautiful serpent." Fortunately, there was a skilled person passing by. After a moment, 2 night watchmen bowed and saluted. Chansei explained the situation to them. The night watchmen thanked again. One reported to the city god, and one went to chase after that monster. After hearing from the city god, "Wave a big hand to catch the monster." They pursued another one. Nightwatch city god, who was fighting with the serpent monster, sighed. It was indeed seriously injured. With a command, the affiliated official and his men rushed forward. The heavily injured serpent monster was helpless to fight back. City god pierced a sword right on top of it. Soul Reaper ordered to hook out the soul of serpent monster. Successfully captured this evil monster. On the other side, the villagers keep thanking Chansei non-stop. He then took his leave and departed. It would be troublesome to attract the authorities. He climbed over a small dirt mound and arrived at a grove of trees. Under the shade of the trees, city god of Suiyuan County and his entourage have been waiting for him for quite some time. "Wow! Waiting for me here?" Chansei introduces himself. Indicates that the situation was urgent earlier. Can only resort to this tactic. City god expresses gratitude and thanks the gentleman for taking action. The serpent monster has been captured. "Sir, please take a look." Lord Marshal Judge brought the soul of the serpent monster in front. Chansei indicated that it was indeed the one. City god thanks again. "Feel free to ask if you need any help in the future." Chansei heard a lot. Will there still be politeness? "Sir, I need help right now. Do you have any Taoist texts of immortality or spiritual methods? Can I take a look at them?" Any spiritual methods will do. He doesn't care about face anymore. Decide first and then talk about it. City god asks, "Why do you want these, sir?" Chansei indicates for reference and practice. City god pondered for a moment. "Retrieve the tail of the outsiders and the tome of clarity from the sleeves since you need them, sir. I will give them to you." Chansei took them with a happy face. "You carry them with you?" Could even see the name of the book clearly. This is no ordinary book. Turn over and take a look. The pages are all blank? Is it a book of unknown symbols? As the spiritual power is infused, the words become clearer. Chansei smiles with joy. Many thanks to Lord City God for the gift of the book. City God says as long as you like it, that's all that matters. With a swooshing sound, the team left. Wasn't it just harmonious a moment ago? Why did they leave so quickly? Upon closer inspection, the annotation in the book reads, "The enlightened ones can understand it at a glance, while the ordinary ones are not destined to see it. Did the city god think I was pretending to be an ordinary person to play a trick on him? Misunderstanding. It's all a misunderstanding. Can't stay in this place. Better leave quickly. Thinking of using light skills to swiftly depart. Sure enough, not far away, the city god is hiding on the side, watching Chan Se swiftly go far. He wonders in his heart, who exactly is this mysterious figure? As the saying goes, Master Se, the great sage, aids in banishing demons, forsaking his own honor to seek the secrets of immortality. Heavy rain poured from the sky. Chan Se took refuge in a cave to rest and seek shelter from the rain. The passerby just said that this place is the Crouching Dragon Wall, but where is the resemblance to a crouching dragon? There are not many dates left. Let's save some to eat. At that moment, Chan Se's ears twitched. He heard a sound of footsteps. Will there be someone coming in this weather? I saw an old man in white clothes. He walked slowly with white beard and hair. Chan Se thought to himself, I can see this person clearly, and I can't hear the sound of rain falling on him. He is not an ordinary person. The old man bowed to Chan Se. Sir, you have a good temperament. Chan Se returned the gesture, just taking a brief rest here. It's more refreshing to take a leisurely stroll in the rain. The sound of water droplets and footsteps is authentic. This person is definitely not ordinary. Just not sure if they are an immortal or a monster. The old man saw the tale of the outsiders placed aside. Continue to speak. This is a miscellaneous book from many years ago. Do you mind if I sit next to you? Chan Se said. Please. The old man sat down and asked, Sir, are you reading this book, The Tale of the Outsiders? Do you have any insights on it? Chan Se thought for a moment and replied, This book is indeed wonderful. But the evaluation of spirit and monster is not fair. The principle of not doing to others what you don't want done to you is something that ordinary people understand. The elder's eyes lit up. Oh? Can you explain in detail, sir? Chan Se also let go. Although some spirits and monsters may engage in harmful actions, they cannot be completely denied. For example, the prince in the book saved the cat spirit. The cat spirit turned into a human and married the prince as his wife to repay him. Later, a wealthy merchant lusted after the cat spirit's beauty. He caused the prince's family to be destroyed and people to die. The cat spirit took revenge for the prince by killing the wealthy merchant's family. Although the whole article briefly mentions human wickedness, it mainly emphasizes that the cat spirit harms people. I am very displeased with this. There is another article that describes severe drought hundreds of years ago. The people were suffering greatly. However, the writer claims that this was destiny, as the people prayed for the water serpent to bring rain. The water serpent brought rain to help with the disaster after receiving offerings. This is clearly a benevolent act benefiting the people. The writer, however, claims that the water serpent is disrupting destiny and not enlightening. There are many such biases in the book. It's truly laughable. The old man remained silent for a long time. He pointed to the stone wall above his head and asked, Sir, do you know the origin of the Crouching Dragon Wall? Chan Se replied that he did not know. The old man began to tell a story about around 300 years ago. There was a water serpent cultivator here who had reached a state of perfection in cultivation. He was preparing to undergo transformation into a dragon, but because his cultivation had lasted too long and he was too eager to transform into a dragon, it caused more than half a month of continuous heavy rain a year. As a result, the Sheng mansion experienced flooding. Wherever it goes, there is devastation. Chan Se thought. Even in modern times, floods are still a terrifying presence. The old man continued saying, The current stone wall is where the water serpent emerged from the earth back then. That is why the name Crouching Dragon Wall has been passed down. Chan Se asked, I heard that the celestial abode Jade Holding Mountain in Ji Prefecture did not intervene at that time, did it? The old man smiled and said, The water serpent caused trouble. Naturally, it attracted immortal experts to intervene. But only the city god of Dumang Mansion spelled out and shattered his golden body to awaken the flood dragon. Let him see the sin he has created with his own eyes. Chan Se understood. The old man should be the flood dragon. The story is about himself. May I ask, old sir, did the water serpent successfully transform into a dragon in the end? What happened later? The old man calmly said, of course he succeeded. For the next 300 years, he controlled the weather for Ji Prefecture, bringing good harvests and regulating the water race to prevent mischief. What do you think of this dragon's actions, sir? Do you think he was uncivilized? Hope this answer is satisfactory. As the saying goes, the flood dragon stirs the wind and creates waves. The right and wrong, merits and faults, seek to be judged. Chan Se is extremely anxious at the moment. However, outwardly, he appears very calm. He thinks he is seeking approval, but it must not be flattery. So he spoke. I greatly admire this dragon's later actions. But if I encounter the dragon I met back then, and if he still has the same abilities, I will have to slay him. The elder furrowed his brows and narrowed his eyes, with a hint of white vapor appearing at the corners of his mouth. Does the gentleman think that the dragon's accomplishments over the past 300 years can offset the mistakes made back then? Chan Se unequivocally affirmed. He is indeed that dragon. He then posed a question in return. May I ask, old sir, if everyone believes that the past sins have been atoned for, would you still continue to sow clouds and rain? Success is success, and mistakes are mistakes. Only by making up for mistakes can we move forward. There is no balancing of merits and demerits. What I hate is the evil dragon of the past. What I admire is the true dragon of today. They don't conflict. As soon as these words were spoken, the old man, who had been frowning, felt a slight tremor in his heart. He burst into laughter. Well said, well said. Chan Se breathed a sigh of relief. Finally made it through. The old man turned his head at the sound. Chan Se hastily picked up the jujube fruit next to him. Old man, please try this. It was grown in our own yard. Very fresh and sweet. The old man took it. Jujube fruits in this season? Quite rare. But 2 pieces are not enough. Chan Se quickly stuffed the remaining jujube fruits into his mouth. There are only 4 in total. Half for each person. The elder does not mind at all. Taking a bite, he repeatedly praises the good fruit. Although the spiritual energy is scarce, the taste is excellent. Where is the gentleman's courtyard? Can I go and pick some more? Chan Se said. It's fine if you want to, but I have asked my friend to distribute the dates. I'm not sure if there are any left. The elder asked. Does your friend have any stored? Sharing some with me is also fine. Chan Se said. He is just an ordinary person. He cannot store things. The old man looked shocked. Just an ordinary person. What virtues and abilities does he have to be Mr. Goodfriend's friend? Chan Se winked playfully. I acknowledge this, friend. Isn't that enough? The old man laughed heartily at the words. Wonderful! Wonderful! It is only natural for the gentleman's word to be final. I'm not sure if this old and feeble person of the monster race qualifies to be Mr. S. friend. It depends on whether Mr. will invite me for drinks next time. Whatever drink Mr. Chan wants, just say it. Chan Se believes in judging people, not alcohol. Immortal liquor will do. Even the earthly Huadio wine can make one drunk. The old man chuckled, extended his hand to bow, and said, I am Inghong Jiang from Tomtian Mansion, returning your greeting. I am Chan Se, from Ning'an County. The old man said he needed to go and make it rain. Until next time. I must treat you to a drink next time we meet. After saying this, the old man transformed into a blurry dragon-shaped stream of light. With a loud roar, he broke through the clouds and disappeared in an instant. Chan Se thought to himself, at this rate, I might get a heart attack before I become immortal. As the saying goes, Master Say, the great schemer, reveals his power once again. Even the true dragon kneels in reverence, a chuckle escaping its lips. Following the scent on the street, Chansei entered a restaurant. For several days in a row, Chansei had been busy running around outside. At this moment, Chansei was disheveled, with dirty clothes and a face full of grime. There was also a strong smell of sourness emanating from him. The boss saw a beggar coming in and quickly asked the tavern attendant to find Chansei a corner to sit in. The boss instructed to kindly talk to him and also send a dish of snacks. Chansei didn't get angry either. He also ordered some dishes, including braised pork elbow, stewed hen, steamed rice cake, mixed 3 delicacies, braised cabbage, pickled radish, and stir-fried turnip. This left the tavern attendant stunned. Is this beggar watching too much Chinese crosstalk? He's come to me to practice some rapid-fire dialogue. We can only offer you a plate of stir-fried radish. You? Chansei chuckled. He pulled out a silver coin as if performing a magic trick. Rest assured, I have money to pay the bill. Just inform the kitchen to start cooking. During the wait for the dishes, Chansei has also been paying attention to some interesting things. For example, at a table across from him, there is a person wearing a Taoist robe carrying a whisk. Next to him is a child who looks about 14 or 15 years old, also dressed as a Taoist disciple. This is the first time Chansei has seen a Taoist in this world. It piques his curiosity. The two seem to have encountered a bit of a small difficulty. The Taoist disciple, with a worried expression, asked the Taoist beside him, Master, we've almost spent all of our travel funds. This meal is just steamed buns and cabbage. When can we return to Cloud Mountain Temple? There's no rush for the travel funds. After the meal, I'll go set up a fortune-telling booth. We'll be able to make some money for food, replied the Taoist. When the Taoist disciple heard that he was going to set up a fortune-telling booth, his expression became even more worried. You're setting up a fortune-telling booth again, he said. Maybe we shouldn't. Last time in Qinglu County, not only did they overturn our booth, but they also beat us up. You still haven't learned your lesson. The Taoist seemed embarrassed to mention the matter, and quickly interrupted his disciple. This time I've learned my lesson, he said. I'll only speak kind words, and keep the bad ones to myself. Making money is the top priority. Although he said that, the young Taoist was still a little worried. You say this every time, he said. Chansei chuckled beside me. She found it amusing. No matter how you looked at it, the two of them were like a pair of clowns. Or more accurately, it could be described as one big joker and one apprentice who was constantly fretting. Not long after, the dishes were ready. The tavern attendant hummed the names of the dishes as he placed them one by one in front of Chansei. When the last dish was served, Chansei called out to the tavern attendant and gestured towards the pair of master and disciple. Little brother, could you please inform those 2 Taoist priests over there? Let them know that I invite them to dine with me. The Taoist apprentice glanced at Chansei, who was dressed in tatters, and muttered quietly, Can he afford to pay for the meal himself? Glancing at his master, who had already gotten up and was walking towards the other side, he thought to himself, Whether he can afford it or not, take the steamed bun and cabbage. Let's not take advantage of him. After the Taoist priest took a seat, he politely introduced himself. I am Qishuan, also known as Green Pine Taoist. This is my disciple Wen Qi. May I ask how to address this gentleman? And why have you invited my disciple and me to dinner? I am Chansei. It's just very rare to see Taoist priests, so I wanted to invite you over for a meal together. It's also a good opportunity to take a closer look and learn something new. The master and disciple exchanged a glance, clearly not believing it. But in the face of the temptation of delicious food, they couldn't care about that much. They ate voraciously, like a gust of wind sweeping away the remaining clouds. After having their fill of food and drink, the Taoist priest seemed somewhat embarrassed. This gentleman treating us to a meal also shows his kindness. How about I tell your fortune for you? Chansei became interested right away. He took out a pen and paper to write down his birth date and time. The Taoist priest was taken aback when he saw the birth information, as if he had witnessed something incredible. You are tricking me, aren't you? Is this your birth information? As good as guaranteed. Chansei's answer was very natural. I don't know my birth information in this lifetime. But my birth information from the past lifetime is still mine, right? The Taoist seemed to feel insulted. He suddenly shouted during the bidding case. You're lying! If this is your birth information, you would have died long ago. Before he could finish his words, he felt a sourness in his throat. He spat out a mouthful of blood, spraying half the table. Fell to the ground like a doll. Fortunately, timely medical treatment saved his life. Not long after, Green Pine Taoist woke up. He asked for water as soon as he opened his mouth. Disciple Wenqi was so happy that he cried. Chansei hurried to bring a bowl of water. Feed the Taoist priest to drink. Then he bowed apologetically. I'm sorry for letting you down like this, Green Pine Taoist said. I now understand what it means to make wild guesses about fate. Chansei thought to himself. It seems like my life has been spared. Just a joke. I guess Master Taoist won't be inclined to read my facial features and palmistry anymore. Green Pine Taoist raised his left hand to reveal a wound. He said, No. I took a look at Mr. Chansei's facial features as soon as I woke up. At these words, Chansei was stunned on the spot. It's true, some things never change. The Taoist coughed twice. It's impossible to read the gentleman's expression at all. I'm sure it's the same with palmistry as well. Mister, are you not an ordinary person? Chansei remained silent for a while. The Taoist should focus on recuperating peacefully. In the future, the habit of speaking recklessly should be corrected. Green Pine Taoist also nodded tactfully. Noted. Pay attention in the future. Say good things, don't say bad things. Don't say things that shouldn't be said. Chansei and the doctor chatted later. He said that he had eye problems. He thought he could rely on immortal cultivation to recover. The doctor's medical skills are so good, let him give it a try. The old doctor looked shocked. You have eye problems? When I was acupuncture points just now, it was so precise. The old man reached out his finger and waved it in front of Chansei's eyes. After a moment of contemplation, I have been practicing medicine for so many years. Based on my judgment, your eyes are completely blind. Can you really see blurry shadows? Chansei thought. So it seems. Then is my blurry vision not from the eyes? The old man, however, piqued interest. Take out a silver needle and try a few pricks. Chansei agreed. The old man then grasped the silver needle and inserted it carefully into the Mingmu acupoint with full concentration. Just a buzzing sound was heard. The silver needle flashed and disappeared. Rubbing against the old man's hand, it disappeared into the beam above. Chansei asked in a hurry, Are you okay? The old man shook his head. This needle can't even pierce through. Could it be because of your protective vital energy? I'm afraid not. Just now, Chansei didn't offer any resistance at all. The spiritual energy has also been withdrawn. But right at the moment when the needle was about to pierce through, a black chess piece suddenly appeared. When he reacted to it, the needle had already flown and injured him. Chansei looked up and said, Let's not try it. The old man looked regretful. It can only be so. What a pity. The next day, Chansei changed into a new outfit. Give the two Taoists some scattered silver coins. Tell the junior Taoist Wenqi to keep a close eye on your master. The junior Taoist understood immediately. He gave a knowing look, and then Chansei bid farewell and left. I thought this divination was indeed magical. But it's too dangerous. I won't learn it. On the 8th day of May, at Old Birch Mountain, Chon-se held up a fishing rod by the river, fishing. He casually picked up the Tome of Clarity and started to read. Currently, Chon-se only has the Qi direction method and lacks the Qi refining method for immortal cultivation. The road ahead is still long. After waiting for half a day, there was still no fish biting the hook. It is clearly stated in the tale of the outsiders that there is water essence in this pool. Wait until sunset in the west. Chon-se heard footsteps. Is someone coming at this time? As the saying goes, with hope in one's heart to cure the ailment. Though the road ahead is long, it must not be forsaken. Chon-se heard footsteps. 2 in clean robes. A child of about 13 or 14 years old ran over. They saw Chon-se sitting by the pond. The boy suggested playing a trick on him. So the 2 quietly approached Chon-se from behind. Suddenly, they both shouted loudly. To their surprise, Chon-se had no reaction at all. The 2 children looked disappointed. Is he deaf? Chon-se's voice suddenly came. Is it fun? The 2 children were suddenly scared and trembled. Then, they started to get angry. You actually tricked us? Chon-se smiled faintly. Is it really that rare? I think I can see clearly through these 2 children. But there is no demonic aura on them. Interesting. What have they encountered this time? Mountain deity or immortal cultivator? So he pretended to turn around and continue reading. The 2 children refused to cooperate. You better leave. After all, you can't catch any fish anyway. Chon-se countered with a question. Aren't you afraid of the beast? The boy replied, Our martial arts skills are very high. We are not afraid. Chon-se also chuckled and said, My martial arts skills are also very high. At that moment, the fishing rod suddenly shook violently. Chon-se gave it a hard shake. He fished up a silver semi-transparent small fish. 2 children exclaimed, Silver pipa! The boy instinctively flicked something out. A round, blue jade pendant. Shouting, Silver pipa is ours! The jade pendant magically enlarged and covered the fishing rod. The Chon-se bamboo rod flicked and gently shook it off. Then, his left hand stretched out, and a water line flew out from the pool, condensed into a water ball the size of a soccer ball. The silver fish happened to fall accurately into the water ball formed at that moment. No matter how it swims, it cannot escape. The boy, with an angry face, says, Who are you? How dare you steal my fish? I see the blue jade pendant. Chon-se just knew their identities. Is this by Shuetan exclusively owned by your jade-holding mountain? The boy said angrily. You know we are from Jade-holding Mountain. Why won't you give us the fish? Chon-se laughed. I've been fishing for half a day and only caught one. Even if you are from the prestigious celestial abode, you can't just snatch it, right? You? This Bai Shuetan belongs to our Jade-holding Mountain. So Silver Pipa also belongs to us. Chon-se is also angry. There are no restrictions here. It's 700 to 800 miles away from your sect. How can it be yours? Is there no elder accompanying you, allowing 2 children to act recklessly? Before I knew it, someone actually responded right after I finished speaking. You're too kind. Indeed, this is where our Jade-holding Mountain is at fault. A person wearing. A man in a blue flowing cloud robe drifted over. Chon-se thought, Where did he come from? I didn't notice him before. The man also looked surprised. Who on earth is this person? No aura is visible, no sacred radiance on the top, but he blends in seamlessly with his surroundings. The water controlling technique he just displayed was extraordinary. And he can also see through my hiding place. This person is definitely not simple. The conscience of heaven and earth. Chon-se was just a probing shout. I didn't expect to really trick out a living person. The saying goes, beside the jade pool, a mischievous child plays. With no intent to test, yet fate weaves it into truth. Chansei said that I just shouted randomly. I didn't expect that there would be elders following. The newcomer is insightful. He can see through the me hidden in the Dao's treasure. See the tome of clarity next to Chansei. Is this the celestial tome? This person is definitely not ordinary. Please speak up, you are joking, sir. It's just two junior disciples playing around. After speaking, the man in blue waved his hand once. The two boys were pulled next to him by an invisible force. Explanation: only one silver pipa is made each year. So the boys were anxious. He thought to himself, this person's level of cultivation is immeasurable. I cannot conflict with him. So he said, may I ask for your esteemed name, sir? What brings you here? Chansei introduced himself, saying, I am just here by chance as well. Chiu Feng greeted with a fist salute. Since the gentleman has already caught the silver pipa, we won't disturb you. After saying that, he grabbed the two kids and left. Chansei thought to himself, they are really vigilant. Is this how the first encounter with an immortal cultivator ends? On the way back, the two kids were grumbling and dissatisfied. The boy even started to curse out loud. Chiu Feng immediately stopped him. Unexpectedly, a voice behind him burst out laughing. That makes sense. It's not right to snatch things from children. Chiu Feng looked alert. Oh no! It's been heard. Chansei laughed and said, Mr. Chiu, no need to be nervous. I'm not going to stoop to a child's level. Looking at the smiling Chansei, Chiu Feng asked, Mr. Chan, is there anything else? Mr. Chan pointed to the silver pipa behind him and said, if you are so eager for this, why don't we trade for something? Chiu Feng was finally relieved. He bowed and asked, what does sir desire? As long as I can bring it out, there's no problem. Chansei thought to himself, although this fish is good, but what is currently lacking the most is the cultivation of spiritual methods. Please speak about cultivation methods and insights. Extraordinary books and unique aspirations, or the most fundamental ones. Chi refining method will do. The girl blurted out happily, I have the basic chi refining method. Just use this one for now. Chiu Feng quickly stopped her. She thought about exchanging it with the chi refining method. How is it different from giving it to Bai? I don't even have a tome like the Tome of Clarity. It seems that he is very interested in mysterious things. So she said, I have an ancient chapter here. I'm sure you will be interested, sir. This is a fragment of the God-capturing scripture. It provides some help in understanding magical principles and concentrating the mind and spirit. I wonder if the gentleman is satisfied. Chansei gently caught it with 2 fingers. He was thinking about God capturing. It's the unique technique mentioned in the book. Although very happy, Chansei still prefers the basic chi refining method. A silver pipa may not be worth so much. Thanks for Mr. Chiu's kindness. Ji certain is grateful. After speaking, he gave a shrug and the water ball flew steadily towards Chiu Feng. The latter quickly cast a spell to stop the water ball, but the splashes of the water ball rippled. This move made it clear. Even the 2 children could see who was superior. Wow, amazing! Slipped out involuntarily. Chiu Feng sighed softly in his heart. Mr. Chan, then let's part ways here. In the future, you will have the opportunity to visit Jade Holding Mountain as a guest. Chansei clasps his hands in salute. Sure. I will definitely visit when I have the chance. Both sides are relatively satisfied. Let's part ways here. The girl suddenly shouted and stopped Chansei, then ran over. She was holding a jade token in her hands. This is the basic chi refining method that you just mentioned you wanted. Chansei looked at Chiu Feng, who was bowing with a surprised expression on her face. He laughed heartily and patted the girl's head. Wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Your name is E, right? If you encounter any difficulties in the future, I will certainly do my best to help you. As the saying goes, when all paths seem lost, a new village blooms beyond the darkened willows. Chiu Feng took 2 boys and flew through the sky. The boy had a strange look on his face and said, Master, you shouldn't be this happy just for changing fish, right? Chiu Feng said, In this world, there is a kind of person with extraordinary Tao. Once you meet them, it's fate and dharma, which you don't understand now. In the future, you will envy it. Chan Se watched as Chiu Feng left and suddenly remembered the head of the Wei family, forgetting to ask about him. Looking at the 2 jade tokens in his hand, Chan Se sat cross-legged by the river, starting to study the content on top. Chan Se entered a spiritual energy into the jade tokens, and immediately a divine thought emerged. Content took shape in his consciousness. So the chi refining method is actually connecting and refining the hidden 5 elements energy in the abdomen. Chan Se silently recited the mantra. Enter into a state of visualization. Let the thought arise. Heart fire emerges atop the towering peak. A mass of celestial fire appears. Then, think again, kidney water emerges at the same position in the cosmos. Above the earth, rivers converge. Waves surge. As you approach the most crucial of the 2 steps, let the breath blend yin and yang. Celestial fire and emerging rivers unite. Form a unique vortex. The most crucial step. Yin-yang fusion furnace. The center of yin and yang taiji. A massive Dan furnace emerges. Chan Se took a deep breath. The Dan furnace has formed. It's not as terrifying as described, right? Some people even fail 1,000 times, right? It seems like my aptitude is not bad. Huh? The spiritual energy has been sucked into the Dan furnace. So, is this Dan Chi the spiritual power? Suddenly, several chess pieces flew over through the air. Before Chan Se could react, start absorbing Dan Chi. Chan Se quickly stopped him. Layer by layer, Dan Chi has not yet formed spiritual power, and has already been divided into 70%. Chan Se exits the world of visualization. Looking at the chess pieces on fingertips. Forget it. Anyway, they are all mine. Pay attention next time. A few days later, Chan Se takes a small boat to Chunoi Mansion. It is said to take 3 days to reach there. It's evening. A big ship appeared in the distance. Chan Se sat in the cabin, eating the fresh fish, and exclaimed how delicious it tasted. Suddenly there was a splash. Someone across shouted, "Oh no! Someone drunk fell into the water." The fishermen on the small boat looked across and saw someone fall into the water. They saw a few skilled swimmers jump off the big boat. Rescue. Chan Se thought it might be difficult to rescue. The visibility is too low. Even if I use my minor water evasion spell, it won't work. Huh? Chan Se suddenly focused. He stared fixedly at the river in the distance. He saw a drunken man floating on the river, as if being pulled towards the big boat by something. The onlookers hurried to lift him onto the ship. It seems like there's nothing serious. It's just that no one noticed. A huge dark shadow flashed beneath the surface of the water. People on the small boat heard that someone had been rescued. They all sat down to eat. Chan Se turned to look at the river. He said to the fisherman, "I'm full," then turned and walked out. But he was dragging a bundle of wine in his hand. Speaking of the fisherman's homemade rice wine, here is half a pot. Please enjoy. He flicked his finger, and the wine splashed out. A large blue fish quickly leaped out of the river below, opening its mouth to catch the splash of wine. As the saying goes, falling into the water by chance, who extends a hand? The blue fish, craving a sip, pleads for the wine of the waves. Suddenly, a fisherman rushes into the small boat, saying there seems to be a water lord. The man in red calms everyone down. He picks up a wine cup and walks to the bow of the boat, reciting, "You don't offend me. I don't offend you. He offers a toast with a cup of watered-down wine as a gesture of respect. After speaking, he splashes the wine from the cup into the river. Chansei thought to herself, this is not a water lord but a large blue fish that has opened its spiritual intelligence and is especially fond of wine. It just saved the young man who fell into the water, probably because it wanted to drink wine. If all spirits and monsters were this lovable, it would be great. The next morning, Chansei looked at the jade token in her hand. This god-capturing method not only helps me concentrate my mind, but it can actually capture gods. But if I use it now, capture the river god of Springwood River, I'm afraid he may be smacked to death in a fit of anger. Only minor deities, like the land god, would be able to apprehend him. When you arrive at the pier of Chunwei Mansion, Chansei disembarked and walked. I'm just waiting for the 15th of May. I wonder if Wu Weiwei is ready. On the night of May 15th, by the river at Chunwei Mansion, the head of the Wei family arrived with his family. He waved his big hand. He poured 2 jars of wine into the river, while Chansei had been waiting on the big tree nearby for a long time. With the pouring of the wine, changes appeared on the surface of the river. Waves splashed up. Chansei thought, here it comes, only to see a ripple approaching. With a splash, a giant turtle stuck out half of its body. Under the moonlight, the old turtle looks like a small boat. Has the young man surnamed Zheng not come? It seems that his destined calamity has not passed yet. But it doesn't affect me. Perhaps it's even a good thing for me. Water rises on the river and flies towards several carts on the bank, sweeping away everything on them. Speak. What do you want to ask for? Just delivering something? Hee. Let's talk about your request. Head of the Wei family forced himself to stay calm, and bowed to introduce himself. He mentioned the ancestral blue jade, and its connection to the jade-holding mountain. He wanted to ask the immortal elder how to enter the immortal sect. The giant turtle looked curious. You actually know the origin of the jade pendant? Come closer, and let me have a look at you. Head of the Wei family nervously approached the old turtle. Huh? Why can't I see your fate clearly? It's impossible. You are clearly just a mere mortal. Since you know, have you ever met any masters on Jade-Holding Mountain? Head of the Wei family was taken aback. He wondered whether Mr. Chan allowed him to disclose his information or not. The old turtle seemed to have seen through this point. In an urgent tone, you must have seen it, right? You must have seen it? Wu Weiwei, can you introduce me to a master? Just one sentence is enough? Did you hear that? The impatient appearance of the old turtle frightened everyone a lot. The attendants even drew their weapons. The head of the Wei family hastily stopped them, saying, Immortal Elder, don't be impatient. I have indeed encountered a master before. The old turtle seemed to realize his own rudeness and said, I was also just a little anxious. Please continue. At present, we can only continue speaking. This immortal elder. I am unable to reveal the identity of the senior figure. Shall I speak first, and you can decide how to proceed after listening? The giant turtle has agreed. So the head of the Wei family began to narrate the course of events and various miraculous deeds of Chansei, such as the little fox paying respects and seeking help. The giant tortoise asked, Did the gentleman save them? Of course he saved them. Later, it was heard that the fox was homesick. The gentleman then released him back into the mountains and fields. The giant tortoise was furious upon hearing this, something he could not achieve despite all his pleading. And that fox just walked away by himself? Absolutely ungrateful. Head of the Wei family continued to speak afterward. Chansei helped him uncover the secret of the jade pendant, as well as the juju tree in his courtyard, the incident of the tree being full of fruits overnight. The giant tortoise, upon hearing this, sighed and exclaimed, Truly a masterful person with profound knowledge. I truly wish to meet him. Chansei, sweating profusely while listening from the tree nearby, thinks, You've really misunderstood. As the saying goes, striving tirelessly for the immortal path, yet blind to the true face of the mountain ahead. Head of the Wei family said, finally, indicating that the gentleman set off on a long journey. He really doesn't know when he will be back. The giant turtle also understands that such masters come and go unpredictably. He doesn't want to complicate things for him. He said to head of the Wei family that there are only two ways to enter Yuhui Mountain. The first is for the family to have a child with very high cultivation talent. There is also another way to gain an advantage. If Wei family has a direct child under the age of 5, you can also send them over. The immortal crane guarding the mountain is replaced once every 20 years. Starting next year, it will be replaced by the one with whom your Wei family is acquainted. The old turtle leaned close to the head of the Wei family's ear and whispered, "Bring the jade pendant with you. The immortal crane will surely appear. When the time comes, ask it to accept our child as a disciple. And please request to accompany the child for a few years as an elder. The immortal crane will surely do its best to help in return. And this jade-holding mountain is right there." After saying that, the giant tortoise turned around and left. "It's up to your fate from now on." The head of the Wei family quickly expressed his gratitude. The Wei family will prepare gifts here again next year. But thinking about the old turtle's attitude towards Chansei, the head of the Wei family realizes that compared to Jade-holding Mountain, he may have missed a better opportunity. Unfortunately, there is no regret medicine. He turned to his family and said, "Things have worked out. Tonight, I will treat you to a good meal and drinks." Chansei watched the Wei family members walk away and thought to herself, "The old turtle wants to see me. It's probably related to cultivation. Unfortunately, as a half-hearted practitioner, I can't be of much help at the moment." You seek fate, and he seeks fate too. Am I not doing the same? The next day, Chansei arrived at the river god temple. Arrived at Chunhui Manor. This Chunmu River first shrine must visit. He bought 3 incense sticks. Came to the statue of river god. Thinking about the river god of Springwood River mentioned in the tale of the Outsiders. The ancient white water serpent has failed to transform into a dragon twice. Nevertheless, he is still a very rare river deity. He is able to truly govern the Chunmu River. Chansei just lit some incense. A mysterious yellow chi suddenly rose up. Chansei looked puzzled. What's going on? On the other side, the old turtle arrived at the center of Chunmu River. He ran over to the river god to present gifts. It was their first time meeting after so many years. The old turtle is currently facing a bottleneck in his cultivation. He wishes to seek guidance from the river god to find a clear path. The river god asks, "You have helped many mortals over the years, even employing your divination skills. Has anyone ever repaid you?" The old tortoise remained silent for a long time. "It seems that no one has repaid me," the river god said. "I can help the old tortoise set up a statue in the temple. Do you want to take this path?" The old turtle fell silent once again. The river god also remained silent. One gulp dried up a whole jar of wine. Not bad at all. At this moment, a mysterious yellow aura appeared in the sky. The aura entered the water serpent's head. A wave of dizziness swept over him. The water serpent began to sway from side to side. The old turtle thought to himself, "Is this alcohol so strong?" Water serpent is recovering. Tell the old turtle that you wait here. I will be right back. Water serpent turned into a phantom and swam upward. He went straight to river god temple. He transformed into the appearance of an old man and looked at the 3 extinguished incense sticks in the incense burner. Lost in thought. At this moment, Chansei also looked childishly at the temple. Has the river god arrived? Slipped away, slipped away. Thinking, he quickened his pace to leave. As the saying goes, an unthinking gesture awakens the river god, and the winds of fate blow uncertain, flee swiftly before the storm. Chansei turned around and saw the river god making such a big fuss. Clearly it came for me. Could it be because of that strange Xian Wang Qi? Fortunately, I decisively immediately pinched the incense out. It's better to bow respectfully when entering the temple in the future. Lighting incense should not be done casually. Slip away, slip away. River God stood outside the temple with a confused look on his face. Just now, a master had shared the power of merit with him. Such things only exist in legends. I never expected that there are actually people who can do it. But why are the jaw sticks lit and then taken away? Did I do something wrong? So the river god returned to the water palace with a disappointed look on his face. He hugged a pile of wine and began to drink heavily. He said to the old turtle, "Do you dare to use all your skills to calculate a fortune for me?" The old turtle, upon hearing this, looked terrified. River God said, "This fortune is very dangerous for you. If you can survive after saying it, I will definitely do my best to help you in the future. You have already said so. What can an old dragon do? I can only reluctantly agree." River God threw the incense ashes he had just brought back to the old tortoise. With the giant tortoise's spell, the entire pitch-black turtle shell. The patterns of the bogwa light up slightly one by one. As the old turtle casts the divination, the more it calculates, the more surprised it becomes. Suddenly, it opens its eyes wide. River God asked nervously, "How is it? What did you calculate?" The old turtle looked innocent. River God continued, "My lord, I swear by my lifelong cultivation level. Just now, that divination you cast." The divination result is a blank. Water Serpent remained silent for a long time. Sighed, "Forget it. I will pass on the spiritual methods I have comprehended to you if you still can't make a breakthrough within 10 years. Then consider the path of the incense fire and golden body." The giant tortoise was full of surprise on its face. It repeatedly thanked you. The initiator Chan Se was currently pushing ahead at full speed. His destination this time. It's the address left by Sword Fairy's lunatic. Yi Prefecture. He is now using spiritual energy to perform light exercise techniques. He is already faster than a car. He doesn't feel tired at all. Moreover, he has obtained the spiritual methods of cultivate and feels extremely happy. The next goal is to learn how to fly. The fact proves that Chan Se's confidence is quite intriguing. He got lost again. The direction is definitely right. According to the map given by the city god, there should be a river around here. Is this too much of a pit? Could it be that the map given by the city god is too old? Has the terrain changed? Chan Se is confused. Suddenly found a trap not far away. This means there are people nearby. That makes it easier. In the evening, a wispy white smoke rose in the distance. For big men were grilling meat by the bonfire, each carrying weapons. They appeared to be hunters. One of them, named Xiaofang, complained that they had been out for several days without any success in hunting large game. He also mentioned that he lost a string of beads. What bad luck. Another man named Xing Ding comforted him, saying, "Just go back to the temple and buy another one. Isn't that all you need to do?" Xiaofang said, "That was bought by my mother at the temple. It's different from a purchased one." Just then, a figure appeared near them. Xing Ding asked everyone to be quiet. "Someone is coming over there." Several hunters either casually drew their bows or picked up their spears. Chan Se hurriedly shouted for everyone to stay calm. "I got lost and saw a firelight over here." "I see a firelight here. Just come here to ask for directions." As the saying goes, grand ambitions falter, lost in the night. Master Se seeks the path at midnight's call. "Where are you going?" A hunter holding a spear asked loudly. At the same time, several people were also observing Chan Se. "May I ask which direction is Qinshui County?" "Logically, I crossed the mountain and headed south. I should be able to see a river." "River? Several hunters are facing each other. Are you talking about the old Qinshui River? Chan Se should have returned. The man said he heard from an old person. The previous Qinshui River changed its course over 20 years ago. So that's how it is. Chan Se suddenly realized. How far is it from here to Qinshui County? The man pointed to the east. Walk in that direction for about 20 to 30 miles. You'll be almost there. Chan Se thought to himself. That's not very far. With my speed, it only takes a little over 10 minutes. Thank you all so much, Chan Se said as he turned and left. Qiufang asked, It's getting dark, distinguished scholar. It is very dangerous for you to travel now. Chan Se thought to himself, This man is not bad. He turned around and looked back. Ever since Chan Se cultivated, he has been able to see the aura around others. The big man is surrounded by a red and black aura, which is not easy to notice if you don't look carefully. So Chan Se began his performance. There was no way he could stay overnight here, and the weapons held by a few people also looked intimidating. Chan Se showed fear. Several hunters immediately relaxed. He laughed heartily and said, Sir, rest assured. We are hunters, thank you very much. Not bandits. If you don't mind, please come and sit down. Join us tomorrow on the way back. Chan Se pretended to look pleasantly surprised. Thank you all so much. The enthusiastic man briefly introduced a few companions. Chan Se also introduced herself. She made up a reason for coming to this area. Then she chatted with the hunters. When the time was right, Chan Se took the opportunity to ask Qiufang. I noticed that Brother Fang's eyes are dark. Have you not been resting well recently? Qiufang agreed with Chan Se and said that he had been having nightmares for over a month. Chan Se asked, What did you dream about? I have some understanding of dream interpretation. Qiufang scratched their head and said, Nightmares. Either about creatures or ghosts, most of them are hard to remember clearly. But often, in the dream, they see a pair of bloodshot green eyes, very scary. Has Brother Fang not gone to the city god temple to pray? Qiufang replied that their Qinshui County is too small, and does not have a city god temple. Chan Se thought, so that's why he has been harassed for over a month without anyone paying attention. When night fell, everyone fell into a deep sleep. Qiufang was sweating profusely, clearly having another nightmare. Chan Se walked quietly to his side. Reach out and gently gather a bit of spiritual energy using spiritual power. Tap on Qiufang's forehead. The latter's expression quickly became peaceful. This should be able to suppress it temporarily. Unfortunately, I still don't know how to enter dreams. Can't cure it. Early the next morning, the trap left by the hunters actually caught a deer. Chan Se took advantage of the joy and asked if they could enter the village to buy a meal. In reality, he wanted to go over and explore what is on Qiufang's body. The hunters are very hospitable, inviting Chan Se to their homes for a meal. They happen to be eating venison. Since fate has brought us together, how can I leave without resolving the matter? As the saying goes, with skillful guise, change they pass with ease. Fate unfolds a twist unseen. Chan Se and the hunters gather together merrily. They are having dinner at Xingding's house. After everyone has eaten and drunk their fill, start inviting Chan Se to stay at home. Chan Se readily accepted Qiufang's invitation. Tonight, he stayed at his house. In the middle of the night, a piercing cat's cry suddenly sounded. Chan Se sat up straight from the bed and looked out the window. He saw at least a dozen stray cats or house cats crouching on the roof of the main house. Chan Se felt his scalp crawling as he watched. Watching the dark green shadows shifting on the roof. What on earth is this dirty stuff? Chan Se quietly sat up. He reached out his fingers and gently touched a bit of oil lamp. Then activate spiritual power. Flicked his finger. The kerosene flew straight towards Qiufang's bedroom. It landed right in the oil lamp in the middle of the room. The oil lamp splattered out dozens of drops of oil, flying towards the surroundings of the room. This move is Chansei's martial arts technique, combining with water-controlling skill. It's very impressive. Chansei then lit a match. He blew gently with his spiritual energy. A spark unexpectedly did not extinguish. It flew into Qiufang's house. Then he entered a meditative state. The Dan furnace in the imaginary scene started burning fiercely, with flames leaping out. At the same time, the flames inside Qiufang's house surged instantaneously. A piercing scream rang out. A dark green breath rushed out of the house. Chansei said, "Is that all? I thought it would be more powerful." On the other side, Qiufang's mother heard a shout and hurried to her son's room to check. Qiufang said he just had another nightmare. He encountered a creature, but this time, the creature was suddenly burned by a big fire. Chansei also put on clothes. Pretending not to know anything, he came to ask what was going on. Fang's mother said she just had a nightmare. It's nothing. Chansei glanced at Qiufang and saw that although his face was a little pale, there was nothing serious. Early the next day, Chansei found Xingding and asked where Qiufang's family ancestral tomb was. Xingding looked puzzled and asked, "Why do you need to know, sir?" Chansei replied, "I just want to take a look." Brother Ding doubted him. Xingding directly said he didn't believe it. They had just met the Fangers recently, and their relationship was not at the level of paying respects to their ancestors. Chansei had to reveal the truth. Brother Ding must have heard the screams from last night. Xingding was sweating profusely and said, Yes. I was just about to ask, sir. What happened last night?" Chansei gave a mysterious smile and said, "Follow me. You will know when the time comes." Xingding was puzzled and curious, so he brought Chansei to the mountains behind the village. "Mr. Chan is here. Why is it so chilly?" Chansei moved closer and looked at the inscription in front of her. Then a reminder, "Brother Ding, stand back a bit. Don't get your clothes wet. Extend your right hand and point towards the grave. A mustache suddenly appears in front of your index finger. Then, swiftly pull back with force." Then a sound of water emerged. Xingding looked horrified as a stream of dirty water appeared, flowing out from Qiufang's father's grave. The sewage flowed out like a muddy water dragon being pulled along. It sprayed more than 3 meters into the distance. Then a hoarse roar came from the grave. Xingding was so frightened that his body froze. Chansei turned back and smiled. "Don't be afraid. I'm here. Everything will be fine." In her hand was a burning wick. Chansei blew out a breath. The wick flew into the tomb with a steady, unextinguished flame. Suddenly, a burst of fire erupted. The terrifying howls grew even sharper. Stopped about a minute later. Chansei sighed. It really was Een corpse. The tale of the outsiders writes, "Those afflicted by the Een corpse curse. What a tragedy for future generations." As the saying goes, the Een corpse wreaks havoc, cursing future generations. Fate's thread was not severed, and by chance, salvation appears. Chansei said, "Dust returns to dust. Soil returns to soil. The matter is resolved. Let's go! Brother Ding, remember to have Qiufang arrange for a new location for his father. Don't mention this matter to others." Xingding's legs are a bit shaky at the moment. He nodded repeatedly in agreement. Chansei is walking down the road. A black chess piece flashed and disappeared from his sleeve. It turned out to be a black piece again. Afterwards, Chansei bid farewell to everyone. He instructed Qiufang to remember to burn incense at the land god temple. Then the nightmares will stop. Qiufang clasped his hands in salute and promised to follow the instructions of the master. The matter has been resolved. Chansei turned and left. Xingding looked at Qiufang and suddenly said to her, "Bow to your husband twice." Qiufang looked puzzled and asked, "Why?" Xingding recalled Chan Sei's words and decided not to say anything else. At Ning'an County Academy, Zhao Xianyin is teaching children to read. He suddenly called a stop. He is ready to try teaching with Chan Sei's method. Today I'm changing the topic. Everyone can join the discussion. Share your views. The children are discussing enthusiastically. It's the first time they have encountered such a novel teaching method. Zhao Xianyin started telling a mythological story. There is a phoenix tree in the North Sea, towering 30,000 feet above the sea. The children who were too timid to speak up before now eagerly raised their hands one after another, all eager to have a try. I didn't expect Mr. Chan's teaching through fun approach to be so effective. He picked up a writing brush. He began writing something on the paper. On the other side, Chan Sei suddenly felt something in his heart. Under contemplation, a chess piece appeared on the fingertip. Vaguely, Chan Sei could see through the chess piece. It's such a blessing to have a friend like Master Yin, who can see through one's thoughts. Unknowingly, summer has arrived, and Chan Sei has finally reached Adu Mountain, where Zwa lunatic tomb is located. According to the records in the sword intent scroll, we should be near the tomb mount here. Chan Sei squatted down, using an oiled paper umbrella to push aside a cluster of tall weeds, revealing the modeled tombstone behind. The inscription on the stone reads, "The grave of Li Zwa, the family father." Zwa lunatic is indeed not his real name. Chan Sei kneels beside the grave and bows to him. Great hero Zwa, your martial arts skills are unparalleled. You walk alone in the martial world. I didn't expect to end up like this in the end. After kowtowing, Chan Sei lightly leaped onto the rocks behind the tomb. He activated his spiritual energy. A small stone flew into his hand. He started exerting force to dig into the soil. After digging a dozen times, he hit something. A dark yellow wooden box and a half-decayed object that appears to be part of a long sword. Chan Sei drew out a long sword. This rumored long sword pure shadow does not look like a divine artifact at all. He then flicked his finger on the sword. Are you willing to see the sun again with me? As soon as the voice fell, the sword body actually trembled gently by itself, emitting strands of spiritual energy. Indeed, it forms its own spirituality. Compared to the longsword pure shadow, the swordsmanship manual left by the lunatic Zwa is not satisfactory, not as exquisite as the sword intent scroll. However, Chan Sei quickly adjusted her mindset. Acquired sword intent scroll. Having the longsword pure shadow is already very good. Take a look at the handleless longsword. Chan Sei suddenly had a brilliant idea. Fold a section of the manhua on the side. Wrap it around the sword handle. Then channel your spiritual energy. He said to Pure Shadow, although you have spirituality, you are limited by gold and iron. The green vine becomes the sword hilt, just right to complement your chi. I will frequently temper it with spiritual energy. As for this swordsmanship manual, it's better to hand it over to the descendant of the Zwa family. Left a few pieces of cake and sauce rabbit legs in front of the tombstone. Chan Sei drifts away. As the saying goes, at long last, the sword immortal's tomb was uncovered, and the sacred weapon emerged into the light. On the way back, Chan Sei encountered a procession bearing gifts. Listening to their conversation, Chan Sei learned that there would be a celebration in the village. A wedding banquet. Should I crash it? Anyway, I'll just give a red envelope. Chan Sei hurriedly stepped forward and said, I've been on the road for a long time. Finally, I've met someone. Can I go to the village to drink some water and stay overnight? I won't stay for free. At first glance, Chan Sei's attire looked scholarly. Hastily saying, if you don't mind, come with us to Zhao family estate. The banquet at Zhao family estate hasn't started yet. Chan Sei is sitting at a table, listening to others gossip that they are from Ji province. Looks very knowledgeable. Just then, a burst of laughter erupted. Someone shouted. You wrote it wrong, you wrote it wrong. Why are there 2 more words on the left than on the right? An old man said. Confused, confused. Someone suggested. Isn't there a distinguished scholar over there? Ask him to write one. Writing a happy couplet before a banquet is a local custom here. The elderly has just arrived and hasn't spoken yet. Chonsei wants to write a happy couplet? No problem. Consider it a thank you for Elder Zhao's congratulatory gift. The elderly expressed his thanks repeatedly. Chonsei's face was full of smiles. Took the pen handed over by the groom. Then he started drawing on the paper. 100 years of love, hearts bound as one. 1,000 miles of fate, connected by a single thread. Even if most people are illiterate, they can still see that the characters are very beautiful. Applaud continuously and cheer loudly. Zhao Laotu even took Chonsei to sit at the top, and Chonsei did not refuse. The wedding banquet officially begins. Chonsei raises her glass with everyone. Celebrate this happy moment together. Suddenly, bursts of joyous energy rose in the sky, gathering in Chonsei's sleeves, absorbed by the chess piece. Even the pure shadow sword is circulating spiritual grace. So Chonsei benefited a lot. After a long time, the banquet dispersed. Chonsei walked towards the arranged residence. Chonsei stopped in his tracks as he passed by a land god temple. When midnight arrived and everyone was resting, Chonsei walked out of the house again. At the same time, a burst of smoke appeared and manifested at the land god temple. An elderly man with kind eyebrows and gentle eyes walked out. From afar, he bowed respectfully to Chonsei, as it was rare for an immortal elder to visit. The humble land god has specially come for this occasion. Chonsei returned the gesture, feeling unworthy. Thank you for your hospitality. The land god asked, May I ask where your immortal hometown is, sir? Chonsei humbly replied that he didn't have an immortal hometown and simply wandered around. It seems that the land god is a local, isn't that right? I never expected that the incense at the land god temple is not thriving. There is actually a main deity. The old man looked sentimental. Yeah, it's almost been 300 years. Is there a specific reason for the land god to appear? The land god said that it is rare to see those practicing immortal cultivation. Just coming out to take a look. Chonsei said that the land god was disappointed. I am just a small cultivator, not any immortal elder. The land god smiled and kindly said that the gentleman is too modest. It's much better than I expected. Later, the land god took out a stack of yellow paper and said that there should be words on it. However, my spiritual power is too weak to see. Sir, could you help me? It seems there is still something going on. Chonsei did not refuse and took the yellow paper to unfold it. There are traces of ink on the top. It reads, The heavenly tome is finally written. Land god looks eager. Sir, is this a treasure? Chonsei explained. The heavenly tome is finally written. Is very difficult. It is rare but not necessarily very valuable. It also depends on the content. By chance, good fortune smiles. At midnight, the land god seeks aid. Chonsei continued. It seems to be the methods of the path of divine cultivation and linking the earth's veins cultivation. Above, the land god immediately performed a respectful salute. Please, sir, read the content of the book for me. This booklet has been hidden by me for over 100 years. It cannot be torn or shredded. It is impervious to water and fire, and does not absorb spiritual energy or incense smoke. Even the Lord City God in the county is powerless. Chonsei is interested. Oh? Can't even see the city god of a county? The land god is busy and doesn't speak falsely. Sir, can you see the characters above? Please teach me. Chonsei opened the book. Land god, don't worry. Let me take a close look. Although the heavenly book is difficult to read, I will definitely be able to see the characters with the guidance of the city god. There must be some other secret involved in this. in the eyes of Chan Se. The yellow paper register in hand is undergoing changes. Unexpectedly, there is a chance of circulation. A blurry image is forming on the entire yellow paper. And in the center, black color forms a large character. Command? Subconsciously, utter this character. With a loud bang, a faint sacred radiance flashes by. This large piece of yellow paper has charged spots in many places. Chan Se looked very embarrassed. Did I break it? What should I do? While on the side, the land god found that he could actually see the text above. Repeatedly bowing to Chan Se, thanking him for breaking the spell, Chan Se hurriedly pointed out that the yellow paper had some scorch marks on it. The land god said it's no problem. Mr. Chan Se's spiritual power is profound. I would be extremely grateful just to be able to see the characters. Chan Se naturally understands. The missing part doesn't affect the main text. Take a moment to think about it. Just discovered that I am in the process of amazing changes. I have gained great benefits. Chan Se asked, Land God, where did you get this book from? Land God said that he found this book in the soil while he was alive. He never expected it to appear by his side even after he died. That's when he realized that this book was not ordinary. Chan Se apologetically said, It seems like this is your opportunity. If you can break the restriction by yourself, you will gain great benefits. It's actually benefiting me now. Land God expressed satisfaction. If there is no sir, I don't know how long it will take to see the words above. Chan Se thought to himself, It's better this way. He can't handle any more opportunities. So he solemnly warned the land god. This booklet is no small matter. Do not let others see it in the future. Learn the cultivation method. In the future, when you have achieved success, do not forget your original intention. I do not want to bear any consequences in the future because of today's actions. Land God deeply bows. At Zhao family estate, Land God Zhao, Mr. Zhao, is deeply respected for his teachings. Chan Se also returns the bow respectfully. And a new token appears in Chan Se's hand. It's late at night, and Chan Se sits quietly in the room, entering a meditative state. The artistic conception of the Dan furnace has already appeared on the furnace body. The colors of gold, water, wood, fire, and earth are blended. At the center of the Dan furnace, the two energies of yin and yang have emerged. The furnace fire has also solidified significantly. True fire is described in the Tome of Clarity as a divine fire. The fusion of yin fire and yang fire of the two chi and black and white has now merged into one. Could this be the legendary three true fires? And then there's that command word. There was always a faint echo in the background, as if reminding Chan Se that word is still there. Chan Se understands. This word is his important opportunity tonight. He walked to the side of the pure shadow sword, with his finger pointed between the swords. It's like reading as the heart moves. The body moves with the thoughts. Chan Se made a stroke on the pure shadow sword. A surge of green energy flashed by. Another wisp of dark yellow energy gathered at the fingertips. Command to become spirit. With a buzzing sound, the rust on the sword was instantly shaken off. Surprisingly, the long sword floated up on its own. The sword body is clear and continuously exudes a cold light. The spirituality conceived by the pure shadow sword directly transforms into sword spirit. Now say a sentence that the immortal sword is absolutely deserving of, although some blood was shed. It seems that this decree cannot be used casually in the future, but this time it will definitely not be in vain. As the saying goes, a kind deed brings unexpected gain. The decree is fulfilled, and the immortal sword is forged. 2 weeks later, Chan Se arrived at Juntian Mansion. There isn't really anything outstanding here, to be honest. The only thing worth mentioning. Just that there is a top-ranked Zhuo lunatic. Unfortunately, with the passing of Zhuo lunatic, the entire Zhuo family has been declining for many years. The younger generation now doesn't even know the name Sword Fairy-zwa. Chansei sighed. Let's try to find the descendants of the Zwa family. However, because of mastering the 3 true fires, Chansei's spiritual power is stronger now. I always feel that my eyesight has also improved a little. There is a pancake seller in front of me. Chansei was surprised to find out. This person's aura, although not unnatural and supernatural, is still quite unique. It seems to be like a streak of bad luck. Chansei walked up and said, "Hey bro, give me 2 pancakes." Afterwards, he took a bite and surprisingly, the taste was not bad. Chansei wanted to figure out what exactly was on him. So he followed the pancake seller while eating. The seller also noticed, looking puzzled. Suddenly turned around and asked, "Distinguished scholar, what are you following me for?" Chansei only said that. Just praised the delicious pancakes he sold. "2 more, please." The seller scratched his head. "Distinguished scholar, do you want to eat something hot? Just keep following me." Chansei chuckled, with that meaning. So Chansei ate all the way while following him. In the end, he bought more than a dozen pancakes and ate them all. The pancake seller got scared. He brought out the last 2 pancakes and said to Chansei, "They are for you. Please stop following me, okay?" Chansei smiled and said, "Okay, I won't take advantage of you. How about I write a few characters for you as a gift? I'm going to buy some ink and brushes. Wait for me here." The pastry seller reluctantly agreed. Chansei went to the nearby bookstore. Took out 3 cents. Told the boss, "Can I borrow a brush and paper from the shop? Can I write a few words?" The boss took a look at Chansei's outfit and only took 2 cents. He said he is also a scholar. "There are books on the bookshelf. Help yourself." Chansei smiled. Spread out the rice paper and begin writing. "Righteousness triumphs over evil," 4 words spoken fluently. And the boss in the store slightly opened his mouth. These words are written exceptionally well. It kind of shocked him. Chansei walked out with the well-written characters to find the baker. The baker selling the pastries had already run away without a trace. Chansei thought to himself, "I have too much free time. I'm not willing to help others." The bookstore owner lifted the hem of his robe and chased after him from the store. "Customer, please wait. I have some top-quality shin paper here. Can you write a few words for me?" Look at the shopkeeper's face full of anticipation. Chansei handed him the characters in his hand. "How about this one? Just give me back 2 coins. The shop owner was pleasantly surprised and very careful. He took the paper and carefully examined it in his hands. The strokes were strong and powerful. Moreover, it was very grand and should be mounted. Chansei reached out his hand. 2 cents. The boss came to his senses. "Oh, I see." "Sir, please wait a moment." Instead of taking 2 cents, he directly grabbed a small handful of silver and handed it over, saying, "Please take it, sir." Chansei laughed. "Oh." Did he directly give a few hundred times more? It can be considered worthy. As the saying goes, a kind heart helps others, but is met with abandonment. A discerning eye recognizes treasure and seeks it with great effort. Chansei continues to wander around Jutian Mansion. Chansei walked to a tea house with good business. A storyteller had just finished telling a story. In this era, storytellers are usually knowledgeable and well-informed. Chansei approached him, bowed, and asked, "May I ask if you know any news about the Zwa family? They were a prominent family that dominated the Jianghu several decades ago." The old man furrowed his brow and looked closely at Chansei for a moment. He looked at Chansei's wide-sleeved blue shirt, wooden hairpin at his hairline, slender hands, and slight physique. He asked, "Are you still a knight-errant, sir?" Chansei chuckled. "You misunderstand, old sir. I am not a man of the Jianghu. It's just that the ancestors of the Zhua family showed me kindness. That's why I've come to repay their descendants. The old man sighed softly. This is something that very few city people know about. Back in the day, the Zhua family was also prominent and unparalleled in glory. It's a pity that after the death of Sword Fairy Zhua, the sword intent scroll she left behind brought calamity upon their family. Now, the old mansion of the Zhua family has become the Qian's residence. Chan Se stood quietly in front of the old mansion of the Zhua family, which is now known as Qian's residence. I wonder if the Zhua family has really disappeared completely. Muttering to himself, Chan Se passed by a gambling house. During the day, the boss who sells pancakes walked out with an angry face, shouting, "I will definitely win it back!" Oh! It turns out that the anger on his head is really bad luck. Too bad, fate and dharma are really wonderful. On the other side, the bookstore owner has already framed Chan Se's calligraphy. This can be considered as a talisman left by Chan Se. Although it doesn't have much power, it should be effective in warding off evil spirits and bad luck. The night watch from the court of the underworld passed by this house. He quietly entered the house to inspect after seeing the sacred radiance great sage. In their eyes, the 4 large characters on the wall present a sense of open and above board, exceptionally dazzling. Even their spiritual power cannot look at it for a long time. Seeing the characters is like seeing a person. The one who wrote these characters. The mood, heart, and level of spiritual cultivation are unfathomable. 2 underworld messengers bow deeply. Take note of this address. We'll also take better care of it in the future. Chan Se arrived at an inn and settled in. He started chatting with the innkeeper. I heard that this inn has been open for over 100 years. Chan Se became interested. Is the innkeeper very familiar with this place? The innkeeper looked very pleased. Sir, feel free to ask me anything you want to know. Chan Se bowed to me in a fist salute. It can also be considered as half of a Jianghu person. I heard that there was a sword fairy's way here decades ago. I want to visit his former residence, but I can't find the Zhua family. It's a pity. The shopkeeper sighed. There are not many people left who ask about the Zhua family now. I only know about the most difficult time for their family. They held a funeral every month. Chan Se asked if the Zhua family still has descendants. The shopkeeper expressed that he was not sure. But outside the city, there is a blacksmith workshop where it is said that the weapons used by the Zhua family were all made there. Even the divine weapon of Sword Fairy Zhua. Chan Se is very happy. Bowing and expressing gratitude, "Thank you, shopkeeper." The next morning, Chan Se arrived early at the blacksmith workshop outside the city, Yin Family Workshop. The blacksmiths in the shop were busy working with clanging sounds. Chan Se asked, "I want to make a scabbard. Can you do it here?" The blacksmith said it's no problem. Come inside and measure the size of the sword. Chan Se followed with a smile on his face into the house. The blacksmith said, "Sir, could you take out your sword for me to have a look?" Chan Se took out the pure shadow sword and laid it on the table. The blacksmith looked at the sword with curiosity. "The hilt is made of green vine? Your sword is quite unique. Is there a story behind it?" Chan Se smiled faintly. Indeed, this sword has some history. It was forged in your Yin family workshop 80 years ago. The sword's name is Pure Shadow. For a moment, all the noisy hammering sounds in the shop stopped. As the saying goes, perseverance rewards the determined. Do not let fleeting clouds hide the sun forever. The middle-aged blacksmith is laughing. Good name, good name. Maybe it was crafted by ancestors' old master. Chan Se smiled faintly. Master, have you not heard of this name before? The blacksmith hurriedly said he hadn't. But you've seen it for 80 years, and it's still so sturdy. It shows that we make very good quality. Chan Se looked at the old blacksmith beside him. Oh, indeed, 80 years is too long. You all forgot that he is the weapon of Sword Fairy Zhua. But you forgot, it does not forget. Right? Just as the words fell, Pure Shadow's sword unexpectedly emitted a burst of sword sound. Chansei continued, I am not an enemy of the Zhua family. It's just that Sword Fairy Zhua has been kind to me. I just want to know if the Zhua family has any descendants. I want to repay them. An old craftsman couldn't help it. He stood up and rebuked. Since you already have the long sword Pure Shadow, the secret manual of Sword Fairy Zhua should also be in your hands. What's the point of looking for his descendants? The Zhua family has already harmed our Yin family enough. We have no information about his descendants. It's none of our business. As soon as these words were spoken, the people in the store began to shout in indignation. It looks like everyone is from the Yin family. Chansei is now an immortal cultivator who can use the eye of the law to observe the aura. Although these people are cursing the member of Zhua family, their aura is surprisingly tense, as if they are hiding something. Chansei laughed heartily and said, No wonder the Zhua family used to be on good terms with your Yin family. He then clasped his fists and bowed in a gesture of respect. It's been several decades since then. You are still protecting the descendants of the Zhua family. Admirable and respectable. Don't worry. I'm not someone from the martial arts world. I don't want anything from the Zhua family. Mortal martial arts have no meaning to me. I just want to help their descendants. The Pure Shadow's sword on the table unexpectedly floated up by itself, revolving around Chansei as if it were alive. Finally, the tip of the sword pointed downwards, suspended in front of Chansei. Everyone was stunned, speechless, and holding their breath. There was only one common thought in everyone's mind: Sword Fairy. The middle-aged blacksmith asked with a cautious attitude, Honored guest, are you Sword Fairy Zhua? No. Are you the immortal being that Senior Li Zhua has been tirelessly searching for? Chansei replied calmly. Immortal being, more accurately speaking, is a practitioner of immortal cultivation Dao. Are there still descendants of the Zhua family? If not, then I will take my leave. And this time, no one dared to dismiss these words as nonsense. Since you are an immortal being, you must have nothing to do with seeking revenge in the martial arts world. An old blacksmith bows and greets with clasped hands. I dare not deceive immortal elder. The Zhua family indeed still has descendants. Later, he opened a small door beside him and said, Yutian Yoshin, come out and meet immortal elder. Call the others over as well. It sounds like there are quite a few descendants of the Zhua family. About 10 minutes. Chansei finally saw a nervous face. Excited member of Zhua family. Of course, they all now bear the surname Yin. The elderly man said, Mr. Chan, these are all the descendants of the Zhua family. We have done our best. Looking at these descendants of the Zhua family, they lack any sense of vigor. Chansei thought to himself, perhaps this is also a good thing. So he waved his hand. The Pure Shadow's sword flew over automatically. All the members of the Zhua family touched the hilt lightly with their hands. I want to make sure. Are you all real? As the saying goes, the title of an immortal is no simple honor. In the end, they sought the heirs of the Sword Fairy. Pure Shadow's sword and Sword Fairies will have a special connection. They can discern whether these people are real or fake. Watching them touch the Pure Shadow's sword one by one, the sword rings crisply. This can prove that they are indeed descendants of Sword Fairy Zhua. Chansei hesitated. Should he give them the secret book left by Sword Fairy Zhua? They are now living a peaceful life. Should they take the secret book and re-enter the martial arts world? However, reality struck Chansei in the face. A middle-aged member of the Zhua family handed him a booklet, saying it was the swordsmanship manual left by their grandfather. All right. I underestimated you. Did you have it all along? So, the truth should be that Sword Fairies will pass down the swordsmanship manual to later generations. But no matter how good the martial arts are, it depends on who practices them. As a result, in the end, there was no one in the Zhua family who could fight. They were forced into ruin and suffered great losses. Chansei took out a handwritten letter from Li Zuo's chest. Pass it on to the descendants of the Zuo family. As for the law sword Pure Shadow. Chansei hasn't finished speaking yet. The suspended Pure Shadow sword rang out with a clear sound and immediately flew back behind him. Only the hilt of the sword is showing. Chansei smiled and said, "What are you afraid of? Now you are Pure Shadow's sword." Then turning to the people of the Zuo family, he said, "This long sword can't be given to you, but Li Zuo has taken care of it for me for decades. I appreciate his kindness. Now, I'll give you two options. First, I will do my best to leave behind a decree. May it ensure the peace and security of your home. No disasters, no evils. It can also help you save face. Please have the city god take care of your family. After death, you can also enter the court of the underworld for a position. Secondly, I can stay here for a while to guide you in learning sword techniques and impart the true essence of sword techniques. How do you plan to choose?" They looked puzzled. Chansei said, "You don't need to answer now. Consider it overnight. Tell me tomorrow." After bidding farewell to the Yin family blacksmith, Chansei said, "I will come back tomorrow." The blacksmith hurriedly bowed and replied, "Yes, Mr. Chan, take care." The immortal being is leaving. No one dares to stop him. Everyone can only watch as Chansei departs. As soon as they left, everyone couldn't hold back, excitedly shouting, "We saw an immortal being! Can you believe there is actually an immortal being? No wonder the younger generation of the Zuo family has not achieved much." It turns out that the ancestor received guidance from the immortal being. "Uncle Baran, who will you choose?" Everyone started discussing excitedly, one after another, with overwhelming excitement. The eldest elder of the Yin family cleared his throat a few times. "Let member of Zuo family decide on this matter by themselves. Everyone else, please leave." Member of Zuo family asked, "Uncle Yin?" "We are." The old man interrupted directly, saying, "I've already said it. You all decide on this matter yourselves." He then picked up the teacup from the table. The junior members of the Zuo family busily said, "Grandpa Yin, I'll take care of it." The elder hurriedly took away the cup. "Do you understand? This is what the immortal being has drunk. I want to take it to offer." At night, members of the Zuo family gathered together. They started discussing which one to choose. Until the next morning. The Yin family members found out they had not slept all night. But this was normal. It would be very upsetting for ordinary people. Chansei arrived as promised. He came to the blacksmith workshop and asked, "Have you made your selection?" Member of Zuo family said they have not decided yet. The elder of the Yin family was greatly surprised. "You all?" A member of the Zuo family bowed to Chansei. "Mr. Chan, may I ask you a question?" Chansei smiled and replied, "Go ahead." Did the ancestors' martial arts skills rely more on Mr. Chan's guidance or on his own talent? They really think that sword fairies with sword techniques are related to immortal beings. Chansei replied calmly, "Li Zuo is a martial arts genius, so naturally talent plays a majority role." "Mr. Chan, we have decided. Choosing the first one. As the saying goes, the guidance of an immortal holds value, but personal talent is of higher worth." The leader, descendant of the Zuo family, made a gesture with his hands. "As long as we don't forget our family name for one day. Then one day, we will be able to take it back ourselves. Please, sir, first ensure our safety." Chansei laughed, slapped the table, and stood up. "Well done. Rui is back." He picked up the brush on the table, dipped it lightly in ink, and then painted freely on the rice paper. "Peace, stability, and good health. Unscathed by all evil. Define your purpose and strive with vigor. Effort will be rewarded. When the law is complete, a radiant light visible to all will flash on the paper and vanish in an instant." Chansei said, "This decree is specifically for the descendants of the Zuo family. Even if others steal it, it will be ineffective. If the bloodline of the Zuo family is cut off, then the decree will self-destruct. as the voice fell. The sky outside suddenly brought down bursts of lightning, as if echoing Chansei's words. With Chansei in high spirits, standing with a sword in hand, a member of the Zhua family. Look out! Don't blink. Shortly after, the whole person turned into a dancing drifting dragon, running with a sword in the yard. The figure is elusive. Sword techniques are boundless. At this time, a light rain started falling from the sky. But in front of Chansei's sword, not a drop of water can approach. It then followed the sword light's unpredictable movement. On the side, member of Zhua family and Elder Yin were staring fixedly at the immortal being dancing with a sword in the rain. They didn't even dare to blink. This is the true appearance of an immortal being. Extraordinary and otherworldly. Chansei took the sword and said, "This is the true essence of drifting dragon. How much you can comprehend will depend on yourselves." After speaking, he turned around and went into the house. Elder Yin bowed and said, "I just forgot to step aside. Please forgive me, sir." Chansei chuckled and raised the teacup. "I don't mind at all. Who would have any objections?" Elder Yin is very happy, thank you, sir. Descendant of the Zhua family also bowed in respect. "Thank you for your grace, sir. We are willing to forever worship your immortal status." Chansei looked at descendant of the Zhua family and admonished, "This decree will ensure your safety." Naturally, there is no problem.